Hey everyone, welcome to our channel, and thank you for your support. If there's a favorite novel on the channel and you want the next part, you're just one step away. Become a Patreon member and I can make it depending on your tier. Thank you for your attention.
Taking out the airship, Yang Bo prepared to go down and take a look. Turning his head to look at Araujo was hesitant to speak, and asked curiously, "What's wrong with you?" "No, it's nothing, I'll take you there." As he spoke, he walked towards the edge of the abyss. Yang Bo hurriedly stopped him. "Hey, wait a minute, we can take the airship down." Arya shuddered and said, "No. I'm still used to climbing down myself." He was very flustered now. He didn't expect the humans in this world to be so perverted. Except for their slightly longer arms and only 4 fingers on their hands. And red skin. The Asa people were very similar to humans in other aspects. Yang Bo didn't mind that the other party didn't want to ride the airship. After all, there were humans who didn't want to ride cars. He boarded the airship and flew towards the depths of the abyss rift. The further down, the denser the red mist became. And the visibility became lower and lower. Yang Bo sat on the airship and took off his sunglasses. Immediately, 2 light bulbs lit up from the apartment. I didn't feel any impact when I was wearing sunglasses. I didn't expect the impact to be so great in this environment. The visibility was originally only a dozen meters. But after taking off the sunglasses, it actually reached nearly 50 meters. Suddenly Yang Bo, who was sitting on the airship, felt as if his body had passed through a layer of film. And then the airship quickly rotated 180 degrees. The original red mist disappeared abruptly. Yang Bo looked around in surprise. It was a vast wasteland here, with 1 or 2 unknown plants occasionally on the brown land. Below was a rift, and through the rift, one could still see the hazy scene of red mist on Earth. This is the abyss world. This is simply amazing. Before Yang Bo transmigrated, he was just an ordinary person. This was only the second time he had experienced suddenly arriving in another world. How could he not be surprised? Food. Before Yang Bo could carefully observe the abyss world, a piercing sound rang out in the sky, and a familiar fireball fell from the sky. Only then did Yang Bo notice that in the dim sky, there were many figures of flame imps. They were wandering in the sky like flocks of birds in the human world. Whether it was because these flame imps were abyss monsters or not, they were not affected by Yang Bo's eyes. Or even if they were affected, it did not shake their desire to eat Yang Bo. Skillfully drawing the bow and shooting arrows, the blue arrow flew out and hit the flame imp in the air. A rare loot bag fell from the sky along with some experience orbs and the corpse of the flame imp. This was like poking a hornet's nest. All the densely packed flame imps in the sky flew towards Yang Bo. As expected, I still have to explore a new map. The number of monsters is just different. The flame imps had no other abilities besides fire, which was simply a bonus for Yang Bo. He controlled the airship to land on the ground. Yang Bo's strength couldn't be exerted in the air at all. Arya also climbed back from the abyss rift at this time. Seeing the overwhelming flame imps, he immediately wanted to climb back down. However, seeing Yang Bo being besieged by the flame imps, he hesitated for a moment and decided to help. Be careful. Their individual strength is not strong, but their flames can be fused. The flames after fusion are very high. Before he could finish speaking, he saw Yang Bo use a black stone to directly shatter a fused fireball with a diameter of more than 2 meters. Yang Boho was killing vigorously. Heard the little chick's translation. Turned his head to look at Arion, showed a ferocious smile. Don't worry, they should be careful. As he spoke, he waved the advanced essence scythe in his hand and killed a flame imp that was about to tear him apart with its sharp claws. When Arya saw Yang Bo's white glowing eyes, an inexplicable grief immediately rose in his heart, as if his life was a darkness without hope. Woo-woo-woo, damn abyss, damn demons. We will inevitably lose our minds and become one of them. Kneeling on the ground, Arya covered his face with his hands and cried loudly, like a young daughter-in-law who had been ravaged. We will all. The voice stopped abruptly, and the despairing emotions receded like a tide. leaving Arya looking dazed. Fortunately, those flame imps' attention was all on Yang otherwise. His situation just now would have been obviously courting death. What happened to me just now? Could it be that I was mentally controlled? However, he quickly rejected this idea. Apart from the little chick on Yang Bo's body, he didn't feel any abnormal mental fluctuations just now. Although his strength was only at the intermediate level of a level 5 warrior, even a high-level psychic wizard could not control him without any warning. Suddenly, a pair of white eyes flashed in his mind. He hurriedly suppressed the urge to look at Yang Bo. It's those eyes. What exactly is that? Unlike the terrified Aryas, Yang Bo didn't care about this question at all. Under his full strength killing, the death speed of those flame imps was very fast. In just over 10 minutes, the ground was covered with the corpses of flame imps and drops. Time passed by, and soon this group of flame imps with slight intelligence couldn't hold on any longer. With a roar, those flame imps who were besieging Yang Bo flapped their wings and fled. Hey, don't go, hold on a little longer. I'm almost out of strength. Yang Bo's face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't beat as he stood on the Scarlet Land, making the most sincere retention to those fleeing flame demons. Unfortunately, his kindness was ruthlessly rejected. Alas, it's so difficult to kill a monster these days. I even have to act. Yang Bo had been controlling his killing speed just now, so as not to stimulate them. Who would have thought that there were still smart ones among these flame imps? I really missed the momentum of the mutants who rushed forward one after another. After tidying up the battlefield and stuffing everything that could be thrown into the backpack, he turned his head to look in the direction of Arya. And seeing him sitting on the ground with his head down and silent, he couldn't help but ask curiously, "Friend, are you okay? What did you mean by those words you said just now?" When Arya heard Yang Bo's voice, he didn't dare to raise his head, so as not to meet Yang Bo's strange eyes that radiated white light. Your eyes." Only then did Yang Bo belatedly reach out and touch his face, and then said with a smile, "Sorry. I forgot to wear my glasses," as he spoke. He took out his sunglasses from his backpack and put them on his face. "Did you accidentally see it just now? There are no side effects, don't worry." Arya carefully raised his head and looked at the light blue glasses. And then he breathed a sigh of relief, and couldn't help but complain in his heart. "It's okay for you. I was almost desperate enough to commit suicide just now." After a round of fierce fighting, Aaliyah couldn't help but ask, "Why do you spin around after a battle, Yang Bo?" Who had picked up an endurance pouch from the battlefield, was in a great mood. Hearing Aaliyah's question, he chuckled and explained, "It's nothing. Just checking to see if there are any survivors. Other people can't see the spoils that monsters drop after they die. But after Yang Bo picks them up and takes them out of his backpack, others can see them." As if Yang Bo himself is some kind of converter. Aaliyah didn't doubt Yang Bo's explanation at all. Even in the Abyss world, she had never seen someone as bloodthirsty as Yang Bo, yet not driven to madness. The question he asked the most along the way was, "Aaliyah, can we kill those monsters running over here?" Just as she was complaining inwardly, Yang Bo's voice rang out in her ear again. Aaliyah looked up and saw a pitch-black monster rolling quickly towards their location. Her expression immediately changed, and she hurriedly said, "Run quickly. That's a magic worm and a fully grown one at that. It has at least high-level strength." As she spoke, she reached out and grabbed Yang Bo's arm, ready to leave. But the next moment, "I don't think we can outrun it on the ground." Aaliyah only felt a huge force coming. Yang Bo reached out and grabbed her instead, then took out the advanced essence shovel and quickly dug into the ground. In the blink of an eye, the two disappeared into the ground. Rumble, rumble, feeling the vibrations overhead subside, Aaliyah plopped down on the ground, while Yang Bo habitually used his pickaxe to expand the surrounding area. As for killing that worm, after hearing that it possessed high-level strength, Yang Bo didn't even consider it along the way. Yang Bo had more or less figured out the strength divisions Aaliyah mentioned. They were actually the same as Yang Bo's Goldfinger divisions, except that Aaliyah and her people were used to dividing them into initial, intermediate, high-end transcendent tiers, corresponding to levels 130, 467, 9, and above level 9 respectively, and for monsters reaching level 7. Yang Bo couldn't break through their defenses, and could only rely on his stats to slowly grind down their health. But the problem was, this kind of behemoth that looked like it had a huge health bar. Yang Bo was too lazy to even bother. Wouldn't it be better to spend that time killing a few level 3 or 4 small fries? Sitting on the ground, Aaliyah was still a little shaken. It wasn't until Yang Bo stuck torches around the area that she came back to her senses and said, "Your ability is really amazing." Yang Bo sat on a wooden plank, opening endurance pouches non-stop. Hearing Aaliyah's words, said very modestly, so. "Third in the world. By the way, how far is your tribe from here?" Aaliyah simply didn't bother to stand up and sat on the ground, saying, "Not far at our current speed. We should be there in about a day." Yang Bo paused in his opening of pouches, revealing "Are you kidding me" expression, "A day? You guys run this far just to collect supplies?" Aaliyah and her people had accidentally discovered this crack leading to another world. It was purely by chance. Resources on the barren plains are too scarce. To find suitable resources, we must expand the search area. Yang Bo nodded. The environment outside was indeed quite harsh. A true barren wasteland, just as he was about to speak. His eyes stared at the air in front of him, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. "Finally got one, fortunately. Opening pouches is controlled by thought. If it were done with a mouse, it would be exhausting." This time there were 2 icons in the endurance pouch. In an instant, Yang Bo felt his heart beat a little faster. Again, 2 ingenious backpack more stacking. After seeing the module names, Yang Bo almost drooled. He thought to himself, "Is this preparing me to empty out the abyss world?" He had been complaining that there were too few slots in his backpack, and now he had obtained 2 modules that increased his carrying capacity. Yang Bo felt like this was his destiny. Aaliyah, on the other hand, carefully took a few steps back until she leaned against the corner of the wall, mainly because Yang Bo's expression was too frightening, especially after knowing that humans were a race that didn't discriminate against anything edible. She asked cautiously, "Are you okay?" Aaliyah's voice interrupted Yang Bo's various fantasies. Yang Bo came back to his senses, looked up at her, and said with a smile, "I'm fine. I just suddenly remembered something happy. We've already spent quite a bit of time. Let's rest here tonight and set off again tomorrow." Aaliyah originally wanted to say that the wilderness was more dangerous, but thinking about where she was now, and the various ingredients Yang Bo had taken out, she very wisely said, "Okay." After Yang Bo took out some food to feed Aaliyah, he walked to a corner. The little chick, who had been hiding in Yang Bo's pocket all along, flew out at this time. "I'm hungry too." Yang Bo reached out and touched the little chick's head, took out some energy stones and placed them in front of the little chick. "Eat a little for now, we'll eat good stuff when we get home." Aaliyah rolled her eyes after seeing the energy stones, constantly complaining in her heart. Although energy stones didn't have much taste, they were filling. Even in their tribes, not everyone could afford to eat them. He took out wooden planks to combine into a workbench and placed it on the ground, then combined several chests and placed them aside. No leather, troublesome. Yang Bo didn't bring any leather this time, mainly because leather wasn't very useful when not making books. However, after seeing the ordinary loot pouches in his backpack, he felt relieved. The ingenious backpack has different color combinations and can upgrade the backpack's capacity, as well as enhance its functions with practical upgrades. The most basic backpack has a capacity of 27 slots and can be fitted with an upgrade. Most importantly, it only requires 4 string, 4 pieces of leather and a chest to craft. It's no exaggeration to describe it as high quality and affordable. The backpack has a total of 5 levels, namely backpack, iron backpack, gold backpack, diamond backpack, netherite backpack, The highest level netherite backpack has 120 slots, which can meet the needs of most people, alas. It's a pity that I haven't even seen what netherite looks like. Yangbo murmured with some regret. He also didn't know how to obtain netherite, although the current netherite wasn't very useful to him. But who wouldn't want to have a netherite hoe? Outside the abyss rift, Yangbo held a blue longbow and shot an arrow, accurately hitting a porcupine-like monster in the distance. He had seen them before in the red mist. Yangbo always thought they were mutated animals from Earth, but he didn't expect them to be creatures from the abyss. The items dropped by the porcupine after its death were attracted by an invisible force and quickly flew into Yangbo's body. This was the advanced magnet upgrade plugin that Yangbo had specially made, which could greatly increase the pickup range of dropped items. It could also set up a whitelist and blacklist, allowing him to freely choose which items to pick up, avoiding picking up useless junk. There's movement on the abyss rift side. The little chick's voice sounded in Yangbo's mind. Yangbo subconsciously looked towards the rift and saw several Asar people emerging from the rift. But that wasn't the main thing. The main thing was that behind this group of Asar people, there was also a group of fully armed soldiers. The other side had obviously discovered him as well. Is the government this efficient? They've already sent people to contact the Asar people so quickly. It had only been a little over 2 days. It seemed that the government still attached great importance to the abyss. Zarya. It was Sari, the high-ranking Asar warrior, who spoke. Arya heard Sari calling him and quickly walked over, looking at the humans who had come with Sari with some surprise. Just as Yangbo was considering whether to go over and say hello to those soldiers, the little chick's voice sounded in his mind. There are also mental evolutionaries among humans. It was only natural that there were mental evolutionaries among humans. And Yangbo didn't feel any surprise about it at this moment. A fully armed soldier walked out from the humans and walked straight towards him. Although the other party was fully armed, he gave Yangbo a sense of refinement. His somewhat thin face wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, and the eyes behind the lenses were bright and piercing, as if they could see through people's hearts. Mr. Yangbo. That's me, in fact. He had already known Yangbo's identity the moment he saw him. He had already reviewed Yangbo's file, especially the photo and the final extremely dangerous rating, which he remembered vividly then. A kind smile appeared on his face and he extended a hand, saying, "Hello, my name is Zhao Yang, and I'm the person in charge of this exploration of the abyss world." What? Yangbo also extended his hand and shook it with the other party, then glanced at the soldiers behind him who were using various instruments to check the surrounding environment and said very seriously, "You don't have enough people nowadays. The average strength of humans is only around level 2 or 3. Without the blessing of weapons and numbers, it can be said that it is difficult to move an inch in this abyss world. Even the weakest flame imps have level 3 strength, not to mention some of the more perverted creatures." Zhao Yang's expression didn't change when he heard Yangbo's words, and he said softly, "We're just an exploration team." That sounded nice, but in reality, they were just a disguised suicide squad, because no one knew the specific situation of the abyss world, and even the attitude of these Asar people towards humans was unclear. Zhao Yang and the others were the stones thrown to test the waters. Once we send the information back, the higher-ups will naturally make an assessment and then decide on the next course of action. What? Hearing Zhao Yang's explanation, Yangbo nodded slightly. The government wasn't like him, and it was impossible for them to run to the abyss world on a whim like him. "Then you guys go ahead and do your work. I'll be nearby. If you need any help, just give me a shout." After saying that, Yangbo turned and left. He had different considerations than this group of soldiers. What he needed was to fight monsters and then improve his strength. And this group of people was considering the survival of humanity. Looking at the dry tree in front of him, Yangbo reached out and knocked on the trunk, making a dull sound. In there were also some cracks. This should be the material used by the Asar people to make weapons. I didn't expect it to be so common. Although there weren't many of these trees on this barren plain, they couldn't be considered rare. At least several hundred of them could be seen within sight. That Arya is back. The chicken-shaped radar hidden in Yang Bo's pocket dutifully sent out a message. He saw Arya running towards him quickly from a distance. Yang Bo, who was wondering what this kind of sturdy tree could be used for, was a little surprised. Didn't you leave with your people? Arya shook his head slightly and said, those humans didn't leave. They're building a camp on the edge of the rift. Sari has decided to stay here for a while to help you humans. Young man, you see, this is how you broaden your horizons. Yang Bo showed a very gratified expression and patted Arya on the shoulder. With everyone having a common enemy, it was a very good choice for the Asar people and humans to have a good relationship. But when Arya heard Yang Bo's words, his expression became very strained, and his eyes revealed an unspeakable look. This made Yang Bo a little confused. What's wrong? Is there a problem? I am female. According to you humans, I should be a woman. In an instant, Yang Bo's eyes widened like copper bells, looking at Arya in disbelief, his body becoming extremely stiff. Arya, we can't joke about this. In Yang Bo's eyes, Arya and Sari are other Asar people. Couldn't be said to be exactly the same, but they had at least 80% similarity. Although you are being very impolite, I am indeed female. Arya didn't have any other attitude and said this very calmly. However, I will definitely not have a relationship with you. Yang Bo couldn't help but take a few steps back, his face a little pale, and said, you're not a succubus. Only a ghost would want to have a relationship with you. His worldview had been impacted to a certain extent, and Yang Bo suddenly became wary of the succubus sisters in his heart. What if the succubus he was thinking of was not the same kind of creature as the succubus Arya was talking about? Wouldn't that shatter his fantasy just then? Arya suddenly looked behind Yang Bo, his expression becoming very serious, and said, it's abyss spores. Hearing this, Yang Tao looked back. Some white creatures were rushing towards their location quickly. Little mushroom people. Although their appearance wasn't the same as the humanoid spores that Yang Bo had seen in the city, this special white body still allowed Yang Bo to recognize its identity at a glance. This discovery made Yang Bo feel very pleasantly surprised, and he had a feeling of meeting an old friend in a foreign land. In the beginnings, if it hadn't been for these little mushroom people, he might have been killed when the flame imps and those mutated bugs surged out of the abyss. Abyss spores are a food source for many creatures. They grow very quickly and can survive in various harsh environments. They will riot after a period of time, simulating the appearance of various creatures they have seen, and attacking all creatures. Although their abilities are good, their weakness is very prominent, that is, they are afraid of fire. Let's go to the flame imps' territory. They are natural enemies of the abyss spores. Hearing Arya's words, Yang Bo immediately said righteously, flame imps, how can that be? These spore creatures are my old friends. Are you saying this thing is made from those abyss spores? Aaliyah sat unceremoniously on the ground beside the bonfire, holding a bowl of mushroom stew. White ashes were everywhere around, the remnants of the little plant people after their deaths. Of course, how does it taste? Yang Bo stood in place, touching the blade of the advanced essence axe, looking at some small plant people who had just arrived in the distance. Their appearances were strange and varied, even including the mutated gorilla look that Yang Bo had seen before. However, there weren't many with fillings. Only 3 or 5 out of every 100 or so that were killed had fillings. This also confirms the status of these abyss spores in the abyss world. Definitely mobile food. It's a strange taste. I've never eaten anything like it. I've eaten spores before, but not this flavor. Aaliyah couldn't help but pick up the mushroom stew again and take another sip. Honestly, it was really delicious. If you like it, that's good. I'll go entertain the rest of these good friends first. Aaliyah, being friends with you is really dangerous. Those spore creatures didn't make any sounds at all, even though they had simulated mouths. Yang Bo lightly leaped up, and the axe in his hand struck the leading little mushroom person. SHHH, the sound of tearing cloth rang out. Health point 66/127. The spore creatures in the abyss are stronger than the spore creatures in Bit City. And there's another characteristic, which is that they don't have any so-called weak point attacks. No, there is still one weakness. That is the location of the energy stone. As long as Yang Bo can hit it, he can kill them in one hit. However, this group of spore creatures were all cunning, hiding the energy stones very well. Some even hiding them 3 inches below the navel. Helpless, Yang Bo could only slowly grind them down with his digitized attacks. Upward/health point 7/127. His left hand took out a blue scythe and, taking advantage of the monster's staggering, easily cut off the compound's head. The monster, whose health points reached 0, immediately turned into gray powder. And a blue energy stone fell from the monster's knee along with the dropped items. Yang Bo, how is anyone supposed to play this? Hiding it in the thigh. Are we supposed to cut off all 5 limbs of the monster? Damn, 5 cuts, wouldn't that be deaths? Yang Bo was very depressed and completely dispelled the idea of hitting the spore creature's weak point. Actually, grinding down their health little by little wasn't bad. After all, Hai's attack power was very high now. Aaliyah watched Yang Bo's battle while drinking the mushroom stew. And at the same time, Ish made an evaluation in her heart. Brutal. Yang Bo's fighting style was completely different from theirs. They fought for survival, while Yang Bo seemed to be enjoying the slaughter. Even more frightening than those bloodthirsty demons. After all, demons would also dodge enemy attacks. But Yang Bo was different. He was the type who would rather be attacked by the enemy than give up cutting you once. She found it hard to imagine what it would be like if the humans in the world behind this crack were all like Yang Bo. She looked down at the strange creature that was lying next to the bonfire, burying its head in the mushroom stew. Aren't you going to help? The strange creature drinking the soup was Little Chick. Hearing Aaliyah's question, it looked up at her, its dark little eyes revealing a disdainful look, full of human-like expression, according to Boss's words. I'm just a translator and radar right now, also. Let me remind you, if you go up and steal monsters, be careful of being chopped to death by Boss's axe. After saying that, Little Chick ignored Aaliyah and continued to lower its head to drink the mushroom stew. Its beak was a bit difficult to use for drinking soup, but the soup was really delicious. No wonder Boss always wants to make chicken soup. Aaliyah looked at Yang Bo, who was being surrounded and beaten, and remembered what he had said at the beginning, unless I die. Don't steal monsters on second thought. Since they entered the abyss world, she didn't seem to have ever made a movie 10 minutes or so. Yang Bo tore apart the last plant person like he was tearing apart Japanese soldiers, picked up the energy stone that fell on the ground, and threw it into his mouth. Work's done. This wave of harvest was okay. He didn't know if it was because the monster's strength had increased, but the number of rare loot bags dropped was higher. Even 2 epic loot bags had dropped. Looking at the harvest in his backpack, Yang Bo nodded in satisfaction and walked towards the bonfire. Now all that's missing is the legendary loot bag. I wonder what can be opened from the legendary bags. He also had some guesses in his heart, for example, Nether Star Dragon, Egg Elytra Dragon Head Shulker Box, or even the end rods that he hadn't obtained yet. He really didn't understand why the end rod was so precious. It was just an ornament, and he didn't need it for anything strange. Returning to the bonfire, Yang Bo sat down on the wooden plank and took out some beef from his backpack, placing it on the bonfire to slowly wait for it to cook. Aaliyah, how many people are there in your Asa tribe? I don't know the exact numbers, but our tribe has at least tens of thousands of people, and there are at least a dozen tribes like ours. Yang Bo's movements paused, looking at Aaliyah's somewhat proud expression. He didn't know what to say for a moment. He wanted to change the subject, but Aaliyah obviously didn't want to let it go, and looked up at him asking, by the way, how many human survivors are there in your world? I'm just an ordinary person. I don't know how many people are left now. Yang Bo didn't lie and chose to tell the truth. He really didn't know the exact number of people left. According to the data given by Wang Hongbin, there were only 1 or 200 million young adults left in the country. Compared to the nearly 1.5 billion population in its height, it can be said that the losses were heavy. Aaliyah nodded lightly. Without doubting Yang Bo's words at all, "You're human, reproductive ability should be very strong, don't worry. As long as things settle down you will recover quickly." Yang Bo. He always felt that Aaliyah was implying something. The beef on the bonfire cooked very quickly, and it didn't take too long to cook thoroughly. Yang Bo picked up the steak and handed a piece to Aaliyah, and another piece to Little Chick. The two of them and the chicken enjoyed the happiness brought by the food. You couldn't feel the passage of time in the abyss at all. Yang Bo stood on the top floor of the stone tower he had built with his own hands, looking out at the increasingly large human camp on the other side of the abyss crack, with a very satisfied smile on his face. From now on, this will be my outpost. The tower had a total of 5 floors, and Yang Bo even lavishly used obsidian to wrap some key places, to avoid being destroyed by some ignorant monsters. Little Chick, what name do you think is better for this tower? Egg Tower. Dawn Tower, the name is good, I agree. From now on, this tower will be called Dawn Tower. Dawnlight Tower, the interior of the tower is very simple. Mainly because Yang Bo didn't bring any useless decorations in his backpack for this trip to the abyss. After getting out of bed, Yang Bo reached out and picked up the little chick sleeping on the pillow, stuffing it into his pocket, already used to it. The little chick didn't even open its eyes, adjusted its body, and continued to sleep in Yang Bo's pocket. Walking out of the towers, the sky in the abyss world is like a painting, gray and unchanging. Yang Bo looked at the brown and desolate land around him and muttered to himself, "I still have to level the surrounding land and lay some soil, it's too ugly like this." No sooner said than done. He took out the advanced essence shovel from his backpack and started hitting the ground. That's right, hitting with Yang Bo's movements. Cracks began to appear on the ground. The ground in the abyss world is much harder than ordinary soil. Even the advanced essence shovel needs more than a second to break off a piece, accompanied by a rhythmic sound. A large open space was dug around the Dawnlight Tower. Yang Bo took out soil and grass blocks from his backpack, so that he could create an oasis in this barren plain. Grass blocks have a spreading attribute over time. They can turn all the surrounding soil into grass blocks. At this time, several people walked over from the direction of the crack. Yang Bo noticed them immediately, but didn't stop his movements. The iron door of the Dawnlight Tower opened, and Aaliyah walked out. She looked at the group of people preparing to come over in the distance. Although she was a little puzzled, she didn't say anything. She looked down at Yang Bo, who was busy, and asked, "What are you doing? Are you planting crops? It's a pity that this barren plain is a cursed place. It's impossible to plant anything. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so desolate." Hearing Aaliyah's words, Yang Bo put down the last piece of soil in his hand, looked at the grass blocks that had begun to spread, and said with a smile, "How would you know if you don't try? Don't you think this green grass is better looking than that reddish-brown land?" Aaliyah didn't refute this. Green grass is naturally more beautiful than the color of this wasteland. Teaching people with 100 words is useless, but teaching people with one experience is unforgettable. Forget it after these grasses wither. He should know that this place is not suitable for planting. So she didn't continue to dissuade him, but squatted down and touched the tender green grass on the ground, a smile on her face at this time. The group of people coming from the direction of the crack had arrived at the edge of the Dawnlight Tower. Among them were Asa people and humans. The one leading the humans was Zhao Yang, who Yang Bo had met once. The other party gently adjusted his glasses, looked at him with a gentle smile and said, "Mr. Yang, although I've heard about your abilities, seeing it with my own eyes today is truly shocking." Yang Bo just nodded lightly, to be honest. He didn't like this man very much, even if he didn't have any malice. He just felt that the other party's smile was a bit fake. But he didn't have any aversion to him either. This group of people was fully armed. Definitely not here specifically to find him. So he asked with some doubts, "What are you doing here?" Zhao Yang still explained with that smile. "I plan to take people with Mr. Sari to the Asa tribe, hoping to learn more about this abyss world." Yang Bo nodded lightly. He wasn't very interested in the Asa tribe. He wasn't very interested in anyone other than succubi. Elvis maids teacher sand married women. He turned his head and glanced at Ali asking, "Are you going back?" Alia hesitated for a moment, but quickly made up her mind and said, "I'll go back first. I've been out for a while, and some equipment and weapons need to be repaired." "Okay, I'll go back too." The harvest from this trip to the abyss was not small. Although he only obtained one endurance bag, there were quite a few other bags also. He wanted to see if he could bring some essence seeds back this time. Zhao Yang's expression changed slightly when he heard that Yang Bo was going back. But in the end, He didn't say anything. Don't think that Yang Bo didn't have much contact with them. But when he was in the abyss, the monsters on the ground couldn't get close to their camp at all. If Yang Bo were to live, the situation would be completely different. But Zhao Yang had no reason to keep Yang Bo after all. He was just an ordinary person. Watching the group of people leave, Yang Bo took the airship out of his backpack and placed it on the ground. Suddenly, he remembered something. "Now that I've finally come to the abyss, I should bring some special souvenirs back." He looked around at the desolate land, and suddenly his eyes lit up, focusing on those already dry trees. These trees are hard and unique. Aren't they living abyss souvenirs? Yang Bo picked up his axe and walked towards the trees. "I Hu Hansen am back again." The landlord bully Yang Bo quickly descended from the sky in his airship and landed steadily on the platform. Wang Kaihu was resting in the room. Immediately jumped out of the house when he heard Yang Bo's voice. Sticking out his tongue, he ran wildly towards Yang Bo. Yang Bo was so frightened that his face turned pale, and he quickly stretched out his hand and said, Don't lick my face." But Wang Kai's speed was too fast. Before Yang Bo could finish speaking, he was smacked on the face by a pink tongue, slurp slurp tilde. Suddenly Wang Kai was stunned. "Hey boss, why do I feel like you're getting tastier the more I lick you?" Yang Boho's face was washed with saliva. Directly performed a shoulder throw on Wang Kai and threw him off the platform when he heard Wang Kai's words. "You're the one who's getting tastier." Wang Kai landed easily on the frozen lake surface. Then a cyan aura surrounded him, and he jumped back onto the platform with a strong leap, looking at Yang Bo with a pair of aggrieved white eyes. "I'm telling the truth. Boss, can you take me with you next time you go out? I feel like I haven't been enjoying my meals lately." Yang Bo grabbed Wang Kai's dog head and rubbed it hard a few times, saying, "Okay, I'll take you if it's suitable. By the way, where are Jerry and Su Ling?" "They're planting underground." Suddenly, Wang Kai seemed to have thought of something and then said to Yang Bo, "Jerry leveled up again." Yang Bo wondered if he had heard wrong. How could Jerry have leveled up for no reason? Could it be that Jerry had obtained the protagonist template? Let's go down and take a look." One person and one dog walked towards the underground. As soon as he came down, Yang Bo's attention was attracted by the figure standing in the field. He called out hesitantly, "Jerry, boss." Jerry saw Yang Bo return and ran over excitedly. His voice had also changed slightly, and the expression on his face was more lively. Yang Bo looked at Jerry, who was standing upright, and felt very emotional. "Jerry, you." His appearance had changed a lot, and he looked more like Master Splinter from the Ninja Turtles. However, his 3-meter-tall body, coupled with the muscles that would make the Ninja Turtles drool, completely distinguished him from Splinter. Seeing his boss looking constipated, Jerry quickly explained, "Boss, I feel that farming like this is very convenient." Look. As he spoke, he stretched out his arm and made a few flexible movements, clenching his 4 fingers. Watching Jerry's funny movements, Yang Bo felt a flash of inspiration in his head, and couldn't help but think of the scene of the little chick's evolution. Could it be that evolution is based on idealism? As soon as this idea came out, Yang Bo felt that it was the truth at that time. The little chick immediately shrank its body many times in order to avoid being eaten, and even underwent a metamorphosis. In this way, it's not a big deal that Jerry can stand up. It's okay, just stand up, it's fine like this anyway. Yang Bo touched Jerry's claws, which was considered an acceptance of his changes, anyway. He was still Jerry and it didn't matter what he became. Then has your ability been affected? No, and my ability has become stronger, as he spoke. Jerry's body color changed. And then he stretched out his hand and a mosaic axe slowly grew out of his palm. Yang Bo stared at the silver-white axe in surprise and couldn't help swallowing. The mosaic axe only looked like Yang Bo's iron axe in style. But it was not a product of Minecraft at all. It seemed that his image of using a stone axe to chop monsters into city was deeply imprinted in Jerry's mind. Cough cough, Jerry, you can choose your favorite weapon. You don't have to use an axe. Jerry nodded and waved the axe and said, I like axes. Yang Bo could only shrug his shoulders and say nothing. At this time Su Ling, who was beside him, held the advanced essence sprinkler and asked softly with a smile, Did you come back from the abyss world? How is it over there? Yang Bo curled his lips and said, It's not good. It's too desolate over there. If there weren't so many monsters, I would have come back long ago, by the way. I also brought you some abyss specialties. Let's go upstairs. The second basement floor is all farmland, which is not suitable for chatting. Is this a tree from the abyss world? Su Ling looked at the dead wood that Yang Bo took out of his backpack, and really couldn't associate it with the word specialty. Yang Bo said very helplessly, The opposite of the rift into city is a very desolate place in the abyss world. There is nothing but monsters and this thing, of course. I also have monster corpses and abyss world soil here. Even if she hadn't been to the abyss, Su Ling could feel the desolate scene in Yang Bo's words. She reached out and knocked on the tree trunk. And to her surprise, the seemingly dry tree trunk could make an unusually solid sound. This are the dead trees in the abyss so strong. It's hard to imagine what kind of environment can grow such a tree. At this time Su Ling suddenly saw a hole in the tree trunk, curiously leaned over and took a look, and then put her hand in and took out a level 7 energy stone. Yang Bo, who witnessed this scene, damn it. Okay, you're not even pretending, are you? Why is there an energy stone in the tree hole? And it's a level 7 energy stone. Could it be that a level 7 monster couldn't think straight and took out its own energy stone and stuffed it into the tree hole? You at least talk about some basic principles, okay? Can the European emperor be so unscrupulous? Yang Bo was really jealous at this moment. You must know that he had been in the abyss for so long, and he could only hide underground and shiver when he encountered monsters above level 7. He didn't even have a level 7 energy stone on him. But Su Ling picked one up without doing anything. It's really annoying when can hardworking people stand up. Su Ling stretched out her hand and handed the energy stone to Yang Bo. But Yang Bo didn't respond for a long time, and couldn't help but reach out and wave in front of Yang Bo. Are you okay? Yang Boho came back to his senses, took the energy stone and threw it into his backpack. I'm fine. I just suddenly feel that everything is a little boring. Sitting slumped on the sofa, Yang Bo looked up at the ceiling, thinking about whether to try ice fishing. Suddenly, he saw the map Wang Hongbin gave him on the wall, and the red mark on the city was unusually conspicuous. Speaking of which, are there rifts in other places? As soon as this thought came up, Yang Bo couldn't help but said to Su Ling, Please bring me the walkie-talkie. Su Ling immediately got up and walked towards the stairs. Yang Bo left the walkie-talkie there when he left after all. No matter how powerful this walkie-talkie is, it is impossible to connect from Earth to the abyss. Thank you. After receiving the walkie-talkie, Yang Bo directly pressed the talk button. Brother Wang, are you there? A minute later, Wang Hongbin's voice sounded on the walkie-talkie. Brother, I just heard my subordinates report that they saw you come back. What's the matter with you contacting me? When Yang Bo came back, he also saw the airships patrolling around the city and the outside of the city. He didn't hide himself, so it was normal to be seen. Brother Wang, are there rifts in other places besides the city? The walkie-talkie was silent for more than 10 seconds. And then Wang Hongbin's voice sounded again. But the voice was much lower, brother. It's not convenient to talk about it on the walkie-talkie. Wait for me for a while. Okay, brother Wang, I'll wait for you at home. Yang Bo put down the walkie-talkie and frowned slightly. It seemed that the matter of the rift was more troublesome than he thought. Waited for about 10 minutes. Wang Hongbin landed on the platform alone in an airship. Yang Bo had already stood on the second floor waiting for him to come over. Brother, why did you suddenly think of asking about this? Yang Bo opened the door and welcomed him into the room and said, I just saw the map you gave me and suddenly thought of this question. Brother Wangs, do you have a national map? Wang Hongbin hesitated for a moment, took out a tablet from his backpack, then turned on the screen and operated it twice before handing it to Yang Bo. There was a map on it, a national map. Many places on it have been marked and even colored. Wang Hongbin stretched out his finger and pointed to the red position on the map and said, These orange places are completely out of control. The blue places are high-risk gathering places. And the green represents low risk. And the red cross represents the place where there is a rift. Yang Bo's expression became very solemn. The marks on the map made him understand the danger of this world. It can be said that the place where he is now is the safest place. He stretched out his finger and pointed to the ocean that had turned red and asked, Are there also spatial rifts in this ocean that has been painted red? Wang Hongbin shook his head and said no. That is marked as extremely dangerous. Marine life has also mutated. The sun finally managed to show its face and make its presence known. But before it could even last 2 days, the sky was covered in dark clouds again outside the park. Wang Kai was carrying Su Ling at full speed, while Jerry was chasing after them, clutching a little chick. After fighting for months, time to enjoy ourselves. Meanwhile, Yang Bo was lying lazily on the sofa with a fishing rod in his hand, enjoying the pleasure of ice fishing as he spoke. The float on the lake surface quickly sank, causing ripples to spread and splash. A fishing rod nearly a meter long flew out of the lake towards Yang Bo. A fishing rod fishing for a fishing rod, how about that? He glanced at the attributes of the fishing rod. Fishing rod durability, EI lure, EI luck of the CII. Mending eye. The 4 enchantment attributes made the lazy Yang Bo sit up straight. These attributes are almost maxed out. The fishing rod's durability was only 1/10 remaining. But with mending in place, there was no need to worry about durability at all. Without a words, Yang Bo directly replaced the white-grade, advanced essence fishing rod in his hand. Looking at the fishing rod wrapped in purple light, Yang Bo reached out and touched it a few times, muttering with a smile, I'm afraid this fishing rod can be used until graduation. Just then Wang Kai ran back with a flushed Su Ling. Obviously, riding a dog was a novel experience for her. The dog and rider steadily stopped on the ice, Su Ling, holding a piece of parchment, dismounted from Wang Kai and walked to Yang Bosting. This map has been fully unlocked. Maps are not commonly used items in Minecraft, especially after adding MODs. Maps are basically forgotten in the corner. Crafting a map creates an empty map. The map will be drawn for the first time after it is held and used. The map can be adjusted to different zoom levels, and it records the surrounding environment of the user in the order of north up, south down, west left and east right. Hearing this, Yang Bo reached out and took the map from Su Ling, glanced at it and nodded with great satisfaction. Although the picture on it was still pixelated, it was much more realistic due to being in the real world. In addition, the map also had the ability to zoom, making it much better than the map Wang Hongbin gave him. Su Ling, well done saying that. He took out a new empty map from his backpack and handed it to Su Ling. Go to the edge of the map you just finished. Hold it and silently recite use in your mind. And it will record a new map. Keep it up, I believe in you. Su Ling very obediently took the empty map. She didn't dislike the work Yang Bo gave her at all after all. It was much freer than farming, woof woof. Seeing that Su Ling had finished speaking, Wang Kai suddenly barked twice and then ran quickly towards Yang Bo. This sudden movement startled Yang Bo. In order to avoid having his face washed with saliva again, he quickly covered his face with his hands and said, "Brother, by all let's talk nicely. No need to be so enthusiastic really." The little chick who serves as the translator is still with Jerry. And Yang Bo doesn't know what Wang Kai wants to do. He can guess some simple communication. But Yang Bo can only express his helplessness when it comes to more complex things. Woof and woof. Wang Kai stopped and showed a resentful expression, making Yang Bo feel like he was some heinous villain. Seeing Wang Kai stop, Yang Bo carefully lowered his hands, chuckled twice and comforted him. "Wang Kai, it's not my fault. That wet feeling is really uncomfortable." Wang Kai stopped talking and directly lowered his head, rummaging through the small bag on his chest that Yang Bo had specially prepared for placing chew sticks. Trying to pull out a loot bag. Others can't see the dropped items but Wang Kai. As a genius, puppy obviously doesn't have this problem. When he and Su Ling were drawing the map, they also encountered some mutated creatures. But with Su Ling by his side, they were basically just small trash. And they won by crushing them all. Seeing the bag that Wang Kai took out of the food bag, Yang Bo realized that he had misunderstood. Wang Kai stood up and prepared to go forward to comfort this resentful dog in the boudoir. But a dark red almost blinded his eyes. "Damn, a stamina pouch, what's the situation?" He glanced at Su Ling and now wanted to study whether the luck ability was really that strong. "Can't you just be an honest early warning radar?" He quickly walked forwards, picked up all the loot bags on the ground, and Yang Bo reached out and put Wang Kai's dog head in his arms, kissing it hard several times. Suddenly, Wang Kai's resentful voice entered his mind. "Woof woof. What else can you do besides getting my face full of saliva?" Yang Bo's not far away. Jerry, holding the little chick, had caught up just in time to hear Wang Kai speak. He really wanted to prove that he could do more things. But Wang Kai was just a male dog who couldn't. At least shouldn't do that. Wang Kai did a good job. "I'll roast a whole lamb for you tonight." Woof, really. Hearing the word eat, Wang Kai's tail wagged quickly, selectively forgetting that Yang Bo had just rejected him from going over. "Of course, when have I ever lied to you? Don't worry. You guys go draw the map first. And I'll start cooking in a while. And let you eat your fill tonight." Hearing Yang Bo's words, Wang Kai immediately became excited, urging Su Ling to hurry up and get to work. Jerry, who had just returned, was about to greet Wang Kai. But in the blink of an eye, Wang Kai shot out with Su Ling like a cannonball. Staring at Wang Kai's back, Jerry looked at his short legs again. He muttered and sat next to Yang Bo, not bothering to chase Wang Kai. Yang Bo felt a little amused by Jerry's appearance, took out a few sheep from his backpack and threw them in front of him, saying, "Jerry, clean these sheep up, and we'll eat roast whole lamb outside tonight." "Okay, boss." It has to be said that Jerry's current form and ability are really too convenient for processing ingredients. A metal knife appeared from Jerry's hand, and he skillfully began to skin and process the sheep. Yang Bo took the stamina pouch and sat back on the soft sofa. "I don't know what modules I can get this time. I hope I get a crafting table. There are more and more things to craft, and my memory can't keep up." While casting the fishing rod in his hand, he opened the backpack and used his mind to repeatedly open the stamina pouch. Stamina pouch, stamina pouch. More than 10 minutes passed in a flash. The Matryoshka bag finally persisted and was moved by Yang Bo, handing over the treasures hidden inside. Recipe lookup. More golem upgrades, one-click sorting. This time the bag contained 3 modules. Apart from more golem upgrades, which he had no impression of, the other 2 modules were auxiliary modules. They didn't make any changes to the game, but they were very practical, one-key sort. Yang Bo was incredibly happy. Compared to the crafting table, he felt he needed one key sort even more. As the name suggests, one key sort meant that by pressing the button in the upper right corner of the inventory, the items in the inventory would be neatly arranged in a certain order. Especially now that Yang Bo had the exquisite backpack. When the backpack was full of items, he would temporarily go blind. This more golem upgrades. What the heck is that? I've never even heard of it before. Sitting on the sofa, Yang Bo fell into memories, confirming that he had indeed never played this more golem upgrades mod. It seems that the mods provided by the Golden Finger are not based on the mods in my memory. There must be some existence controlling this behind the scenes. However, Yang Bo quickly figured it out. He really didn't care where the Golden Finger came from or what its purpose was. After all, if it weren't for the Golden Finger, he would have been killed by the little mushroom people in the city. Or if he had been lucky enough to survive, he would have starved to death. Perhaps knowing that Yang Bo had never been exposed to the more golem upgrades mod. The mod taken out of the endurance pouch directly gifted him a golem user manual. Yang Bo reached out and took out the manual. The book had a dark gold cover and emitted a faint light when touched. Looks pretty intimidating, he muttered in his heart. And just as he was about to reach out and flip through it, the book turned pages on its own. With the soft sound of pages turning, golem types. Upgrade methods, golem equipment. The table of contents was very concise. With only 3 items, Yang Bo's heart stirred. And he opened the golem types page. The book quickly flipped open a page. Many golem names and abilities appeared above. Wheat golem health 30/30 attack 7, 5 speed 5. Special attribute feeding. Feeding automatically feeds all animals within range that need wheat to reproduce. Eat a lot for me. Oak golem health 50/50. Attack power 12 speed 4 special attribute, growth. Growth permanently has the effect of health regeneration. I'm growing lives. What surprised Yang Bo even more was that the golems not only had special attributes, but also the variety was simply beyond his imagination. For example, there were also cobblestone golem, stone golem, lapis lazuli golem, netherrack golem, iron golem, diamond golems, and the most extravagant netherite golem. Each golem had special attributes, and Yang Bo's mouth was almost watering. So basically, every kind of block can be used to make iron golems. Yang Bo glanced at his backpack. Except for netherite blocks, he had basically achieved free planting of all other blocks, including end stone. After looking at the attributes of all the golems, Yang Bo decided to first make a gold golem and iron golem, and a redstone golem, gold golem health 80/80. Attack 38 speed 8. Special attributes, wealth looting. Wealth has a chance to drop gold nuggets and gold ingots when attacking enemies. Redstone golem was mediocre in other aspects, but it had the power supply attribute. Power supply can provide energy to devices. Although the power was a bit low, it was an infinite mobile power source. And unlike the simple redstone power supply, it didn't need to be converted at all and could directly power various electrical appliances. Suddenly, Yang Bo thought of the obsidian golem. He quickly flipped to the obsidian golem's introduction page to find its special attributes. Sturdy summon nether portal. There really is a nether portal. After Yang Bo obtained obsidian, his first thought was to open a portal to the nether. Although the nether was also relatively dangerous, it was always much safer than this post-apocalyptic world. And he could also make a mob farm to continuously obtain loot. However, after he built the portal frame with obsidian, he couldn't activate the portal with flint and steel at all. It could be said that there was no reaction. But the special attribute of this obsidian golem gave him hope. Finally, I can find a stable place to settle down. And it's a home that can be summoned at any time. When Yang Bo looked at the ability introduction, the excited expression immediately froze on his face. Summon nether portal opens a nether portal. Summons a monster army. The level 1 army consists of 5 zombie pigmen. One-way teleportation, do not enter. Yang Bo felt half his heart turn cold. But having something was better than having nothing. He stood up and walked to the open space to the side under Jerry's puzzled gaze, and took out gold blocks and placed them on the ground in a T shape. Finally, he took out a pumpkin and placed it in the middle of the T shape. With a bang, the gold particle effect appeared, and a 3-meter-tall gold golem appeared on the ice. Yang Bo's right arrow. Isn't this just an iron golem with a different color? He reached out and touched the gold golem's burly body. The pressure of the golem in reality was completely different from the game. A 3-meter-tall metal monster. Even the physical evolutionists in the city gathering place would have to think twice when they saw it. But why are these golems also white-eyed? Shouldn't they be red? Jerry was already stunned. He didn't have any psychological preparation at all. His boss took out some things and fiddled with them and actually created a golden monster. Seeing that the monster showed no signs of attacking, Jerry stood up and walked to Yang Bo's side, staring at the gold golem with his small eyes and curiously asked, "Boss, what is this thing?" A golem, a pretty interesting little thing, saying that. Yang Bo took out the manual again and opened it. Finding the upgrade method, experience points. Killing monsters. The golem's upgrade method was very simple and crude, relying on the most basic monster killing to level up. After leveling up, it would not only increase various attributes, but also improve AI. It seems I won't have to do it myself in the future. Yang Bo made diamond golem, obsidian golem, iron golem, redstone golem and anvil golem in one go. In just a short while, Yang Bo was surrounded by a group of steel giants. The anvil golem's ability was very interesting. It could repair other injured golems, completely in the posture of a healer. But this healer's attack power was second only to the netherite golem. At this time, Wang Kai also ran back with Su Ling. Seeing the large group of golems on the lake, they were also stunned. Woof. Where did so many strange partners come from? Although Wang Kai didn't know what these golems were, as a member of Minecraft, it knew at a glance that these were all its own people. Not to mention those white eyes that were the same as its own. Bang bang, the golems made banging sounds as they walked. And what frustrated Yang Bo the most was that the golems made the same sound no matter what material they were made of. How lazy is this mod author? They've created such an awesome mod. Why couldn't they bother to add more sound effects? Yang Bo complained for a couple of sentences before focusing on roasting the whole lamb, ignoring the golems wandering on the lake surface. Due to the cloudy weather, it was completely dark by 6 o'clock. There was no moon or starlight, only the campfire illuminating the platform and the surrounding area. The burning wood crackled from time to time, adding a touch of life to the silent night. Su Ling held a brush in her hand, coating the lamb with oil to prevent it from drying out. After brushing it, Ansesh sat on the sofa to the side, covering herself with a small blanket. Although there was a campfire, the night wind was still a bit cold. Honestly, this life is pretty good, Yang Bo said with emotion before the transmigration. Although he wasn't lacking in food and clothing, he still had to work hard every day to earn them. He wanted to light a campfire in the park and eat roasted whole lamb like this, putting aside whether his wallet could handle it. The fire department and the police wouldn't allow it. Another dozen minutes passed. All right, it's ready to eat. Jerry got a whole lamb, Wang Kai got a whole lamb. As for the little chick, even picking up the meat scraps that fell from Wang Kai and Jerry's mouths would be enough to stuff it to death. The next morning, the sun still didn't penetrate the thick clouds. In the underground second floor's fish pond, Yang Bo took out a large number of level 1 energy stones from his backpack and poured them into the fish pond. The dark large catfish inside began to doubt its life, hiding at the edge of the pond, not daring to move. What does this mean? Last meal, am I going to die? Can I just eat less in the future? Big brother, please stop pouring, I'm scared. The little chick wasn't by Yang Bo's side, so Yang Bo didn't know that this catfish had such a rich inner drama. You can't live with us in this state. Just stay at home obediently and watch the house. Save these energy stones and eat them sparingly. They should be enough for you to eat for 2.5 months. After saying that, Yang Bo turned and left, leaving behind a large catfish that felt like it had escaped death. 2 airships flew slowly in the air. Yang Bo sat in the driver's seat, holding the golem manual in his hand, while Su Ling piloted another airship next to Yang Bo. The 2 airships were very close, but the 2 airships did not affect each other at all. Where are we going? Su Ling stared ahead, somewhat curious. Obviously, this wasn't the direction to the city. Yang Bo said without even raising his head, Li City. Hearing the name Li City, Su Ling was stunned for a moment, but didn't continue to ask, as long as Yang Bo decided she would follow. Soon the surrounding terrain changed. The surroundings were no longer endless snowfields, but some mountains began to appear. I feel like we're being watched, Su Ling, who was next to Yang Bo, suddenly felt a sense of unease. Her ability told her that there was danger in the air. Yang Bo still had great faith in Su Ling's ability, and decisively shouted, "Descend." The airship's descent speed was very slow. Before they could descend much, a flock of strange birds broke through the clouds and rushed towards the airship Yang Bo was in. Those strange birds looked like enlarged magpies, but they didn't have the peaceful appearance they used to have. The target of these mutated magpies was very clear. They rushed straight towards the airship that Yang Bo was piloting, without any intention of provoking the airship that Su Ling was piloting. At this moment, Yang Bo finally understood the side effects of the luck ability. The stronger Su Ling's luck ability was, the more unlucky the people around her seemed to be. Damn, Wang Kai stopped them, woof, okay. Wang Kai's wind ability became more and more skillful. Wind blades appeared out of thin air, quickly flying towards the mutated magpies that were pouncing over. Puff puff. The mutated magpies flying in front were easily cut open by the wind blades. Those who were lucky died directly, and those who were unlucky had their wings cut off and fell quickly from the air, falling into the snow at this height and speed. They probably wouldn't survive. An ender pearl flew out of Yang Bo's hand, quickly flying towards the snow below. Being unable to fly in the air was too passive. Purple particles appeared at the landing point of the ender pearl. The next moment, Yang Bo's figure disappeared from the airship and appeared on the snow. Then a whistle sounded. Wang Kai's figure also appeared next to Yang Bo. The man and dog were ready to fight, while Su Ling was still controlling the airship to descend slowly. Those mutated magpies quickly found their target and all swooped down towards Yang Bo on the ground. Their posture looked like they were preparing to use their sharp beaks to directly pierce through Yang Bo and Wang Kai's bodies. Yang Bo calmly took out a book from his backpack. It was the golem manual that he had been reading on the airship earlier. The golem manual with the dark gold cover floated in Yang Bo's hand and slowly opened. As the pages turned, golems appeared next to Yang Bo. Kill them, as Yang Bo's voice fell. Beams of light shot out from the launchers on the golem's shoulders, accurately hitting the mutated magpies swooping down. Golem laser cannon equipment changes the golem's attack mode to ranged attack. Although there was no attack power bonus, this was simply an epic enhancement for the clumsy golems. The only downside was that the attack speed was too slow. It could only attack once every 3 seconds, which was much less efficient than melee combat for a time. The mutated magpies flying in the sky showed their health bars one after another. Health points 17/35, health points 10/33. The golem's attacks were different, and the monster's health was the same. Yang Bo took out a blue longsword and joined the battle, waiting leisurely for a mutated magpie to rush towards him. He raised his longsword, adjusted the angle, and waited for the opponent's suicidal attack. Just as he thought, although the mutated magpie wanted to avoid it, with such distance and acceleration, it was basically impossible. Flapping its wings and screaming, it crashed into the blade. Its body was easily cut open by the sharp blade, without even having a chance to show its health bar, leaving behind some colorful experience orbs and a white loot bag. It fell asleep directly. The dozens of mutated magpies were all killed before Wang Kai could even catch his breath. At this time, Su Ling and Jerry landed on the snow from the air. Su Ling was about to get off the airship with a worried look. But Yang Bo quickly stopped her, but it was too late. With a plop, Su Ling disappeared on the snow surface, leaving only a holes. It seemed that Su Ling's luck level was still a bit low. The snow wasn't too deep, only a little over a meter. As for why Su Ling, who was around 1.7 meters tall, disappeared, it was simply because she lost her footing and fell to the ground. Reaching out to pull Su Ling out of the snow. Her weight of around 100 pounds was nothing to Yang Bo in his current state. Don't be so hasty next time. Luckily, the snow isn't deep here. Su Ling looked at Yang Bo and Wang Kai standing in the snow, as well as those puppets who looked like they were not to be trifled with, and found herself speechless. She obediently allowed Yang Bo to toss her into the airship. Yang Bo looked around, and all he could see was a vast expanse of white. Even the trees were covered in snow. I'll fly lower in a bit. So if we encounter any danger, we can just jump down. The puppet manual floated up again, the dark golden light becoming brighter. The puppets that were on guard all around transformed into orbs of light and flew into the pages of the book. With a bang, Yang Bo directly closed the book, and it disappeared from his hand. Let's continue on our way. He boarded the airship again and began this low-altitude flight. Only 2 or 3 meters above the ground this way. They wouldn't have to worry too much if they encountered any danger. Suddenly, a howl came from the high mountain beside the road. The sound very penetrating. Yang Bo turned his head to look in the direction of the sound, and some gray figures were gathering on the hillside. Wolves. This was the first time he had seen wolves before. The ones attacking the gathering place were just packs of dogs. Howling like that. Aren't they afraid of causing an avalanche? He couldn't help but complains. He didn't know if it was because he was a jinx. But a white tide was rising from the mountain in the distance. And then the tide grew bigger and bigger. It roared as it rushed down the mountain. Several seconds later, the rumbling sound finally reached them. The wolf pack that had just gathered also discovered what was happening behind them and wanted to run away frantically. But how could the power of nature be compared to these mutated creatures? In just over 10 seconds, the sturdy wolf pack was easily buried in the snow. Yang Bo, let's go. The little interlude on the road added some fun to the monotonous journey. With the physical fitness of mutated wolves, they probably wouldn't die, but it would definitely take some effort to climb out. Su Ling kept looking ahead, occasionally glancing down at the map. Brother Yang were arriving at Cheng County. Yang Bo, who was lying in Wang Kai's soft fur, sat up when he heard Su Ling's words and looked in the direction she was pointing. A city was very obvious in the vast white snowy world. He raised his wrist and glanced at the time. It's already 9:40, let's go over and take a look. And take care of lunch along the way. Life must have a sense of ritual. Even if he doesn't feel hungry at all now, he still has to eat something when it's mealtime. The speed of the airship was really too touching. Even though the county town had already appeared in sight, it still took them more than half an hour to enter the urban area. The snow in the urban area was very thick, and there were many traces of trampling. But those traces didn't seem to be made by humans. Jerry protects Su Ling after saying that. Yang Bo and Wang Kai jumped down from the airship and landed on the snow. Just as he retracted the airship, some enthusiastic figures rushed out from the surrounding houses. Several mutated individuals surrounded Yang Bo and Wang Kai. Compared to the mutated individuals he had seen before, these guys were obviously stronger. Each of them had a golden particle effect shimmering on their bodies. Is the evolution speed of mutated individuals this fast? In the past, the level 4 or higher mutated individuals he encountered were all small boss-level existences. But these mutated individuals that jumped out were obviously just small fries. Yang Bo held a sword in one hand and took out the puppet manual in the other. Narrowing his eyes slightly, preparing to rush up and kill these mutated individuals when the mutated individuals made a piercing sound. But they were still surrounding Yang Bo and Wang Kai, without the slightest intention of attacking. Responding sounds immediately rang out from the surrounding buildings. In an instant, the silent street seemed to come alive, and a large number of mutated individuals poured out from the buildings, most of them with golden light on their bodies. The pages of the book began to turn. Just as Yang Bo was about to summon the puppets, a hoarse voice rang out from the mutated individuals. "Human, you've crossed the lines." A burly mutated individual stood out, nearly 4 meters tall, exuding a terrifying aura. The surrounding mutated individuals didn't dare to look up at it at all, and they all lowered their heads to make way. Although he was already mentally prepared that this group of mutated individuals would develop intelligence, he was still very surprised after seeing it with his own eyes. "Cross the line," Yang Bo couldn't help but sneer, staring at the mutated individual who spoke, stepping on the snow and slowly walking towards it. "When did human cities become your territory?" The puppet manual burst out with a burst of light. All kinds of puppets appeared around, making bursts of collision sounds. "Did you ask me?" With a violent shout, Yang Bo's body suddenly accelerated, rushing straight towards the talking mutated individual. The energy cannons on the shoulders of the rear row puppets shot out streams of blue light. Several mutated individuals were killed by the concentrated fire. Looking for death, the mutated leader roared angrily, striding towards Yang Bo, a sharp bone spur popping out from the back of its hand, surrounded by lightning bangs. The weapons of the two collided, and a small piece of the seemingly sturdy bone blade broke off. Seeing this scene, a smile appeared on Yang Bo's face. Level 6 if the other party was a level 7 existence. Then he would not be able to break through the other party's defense at all, at most causing data damage. But now he was able to use the advanced essence sword to leave traces on the other party's most sturdy weapon, which only meant that this mutated leader was at most level 6. "Who the heck gave you the courage?" Relying on the blessing of the strength V and speed V of the ability totem, Yang Bo quickly crashed into the other party's chest. The powerful force directly knocked the other party to the ground. It's just that the lightning that erupted from the other party caused Yang Bo's health to drop by more than 30 points. Fortunately, it didn't trigger any paralysis, stun, or other effects, mainly because my world doesn't have these negative buffs. He threw a level 2 energy stone into his mouth, and then took out a golden apple and took 2 bites. Then he continued to rush towards the other party, his body lightly leaping up and chopping towards the other party's arm. He was preparing to capture the other party alive after all. A mutated individual with intelligence who could also speak was much more precious than a level 6 energy stone. The other party's reaction was much faster than Yang Bo expected. It rolled in the snow to dodge Yang Bo's attack, and countless lightning bolts erupted from its body. At this time, a glass bottle pierced through the dense electric grid and landed on its head. The crisp sound of glass breaking rang out. A strange force was added to its body, making it feel incredibly heavy. Splash Potion of Slowness Roman 2 reduces the target's speed by 40%. Splash Potion of Weakness Roman 2 reduces the target's strength by 40%. After 2 consecutive potions smashed onto the opponent's face, the opponent's movements became like watching a video at 0. 5x speed in Yang Bo's eyes, still trying to dodge. Yang Bo took the opportunity to jump over and raise the long sword in his hand, accurately striking the arm of the opponent that ejected a bone blade. The tough skin had strong defensive power, and even Yang Bo's advanced essence sword only cut in about a third of the way. Fortunately, Yang Bo didn't pull the sword out, but directly used it as a saw on the opponent's arm. Because of the potion of slowness, the leader of this mutated creature's screams also became slow, and the drawn-out tone was very amusing for a time. Screams and electric light mingled, and blood and brutality coexisted. The surrounding mutated creatures wanted to rush over to help when they saw the leader's misery. However, Wang Kai wasn't just for show. Its strength was about level 4. But with the various buffs from Genius Puppy, even a level 5 existence might not be its opponent. With wind blades and sharp claws working together, Wang Kai easily slapped a mutated creature into the thick snow, opening its bloody mouth and biting off the opponent's throat. Just as Yang Bo was preparing to saw off the opponent's other arm, dozens of human figures ran over from a distance and launched an attack on Wang Kai. Even more strangely, the mutated creatures did not attack the humans who rushed over. Various elements flew around, things like ice and fire, poison dragon drill, and old tree rooting all appeared on the battlefield. And Wang Kai dodged various attacks with its flexible movements. Looking at those humans, a dog face was filled with incomprehension. Woof. Boss humans are attacking Yang Bo, who was stepping on the mutated creature leader. Looked up at the human survivors upon hearing Wang Kai's cry. His brow furrowed slightly. Survivors, what's going on? There weren't many people in this group. Only about 30 or so at most, but their strength was good. And each of them had at least level 4 strength. The reason why Yang Bo was so sure was because golden particle effects appeared on all of these people. Yang Bo was a little confused. He had seen evolutionaries above level 4 in the army before, but they didn't have golden particles on their bodies. With a thought in his mind, the sunglasses originally worn on his face disappeared. Without concealment, the white light in Yang Bo's eyes shone brightly, and those who saw these eyes immediately had various negative emotions emerge in their hearts. Sadness, despair, anger, lust. A middle-aged man who was originally releasing wind-based abilities turned blood red in his eyes after looking into Yang Bo's eyes, turning his head and pouncing on the nearest person next to him. Lao Su, are you crazy? The person who was pounced on was taken aback and had just asked this question, but was answered by Brother Su's fist as big as a casserole. With a bang, the person who was punched only felt a sinking feeling in his head and almost fainted. Fortunately, the people around him noticed Lao Su's abnormality. Otherwise, this young man who was pounced on the ground would have been punched to death by the furious Lao Su. However, the chaos did not stop there. On the other side, Xiao Liu, why are you taking off your clothes? Don't come near, madam, it don't take off my pants. Captain Wang's Xiao Liu is crazy. A woman who looked to be in her 30s desperately tore at the pants of the man under her, looking like she was sexually dissatisfied. The man tried to grab his pants to prevent his chastity from falling. Xiao Liu, I'm old, don't joke with uncle, dong. A crisp sound rang out, and Xiao Liu, who was still enthusiastically helping the man take off his pants, was knocked on the back of the head. His eyes rolled over and he lay on the man's body. Huff huff, Captain Wang, she's too much. It would be okay if it was at night, but how could she do it with so many people around? The man called Captain Wang had a kind and peaceful face, and his firm face made people feel full of justice at first glance. Brother Cheng, something is not quite right. Keep an eye on Xiao Liu. He raised his head and looked at the battlefield ahead. He must find the cause of this chaos. Soon he saw Yang Bo, who was stepping on the mutated creature leader, and the eyes that emitted white light. In just an instant, he realized that something was wrong. Don't look at that person's eye. Before he could finish speaking, an inexplicable pain appeared, impacting his mind. His proud and powerful heart was instantly broken by that painful emotion. Tears welled up in his eyes, and hot tears flowed down his cheeks, quickly freezing in the cold air. Wife, daughter, I miss you so much. With a thud, the man knelt down in the snow and cried. Even though the people beside him kept calling out to him, they couldn't get him out of the pains. Yang Bo only glanced at them and made this group of people lose their command and combat capabilities. The mutated creature leader under his feet struggled to stand up. Yang Bo lowered his head slightly and looked at the other party's efforts, and moved his foot away from the other party's head. You really aroused my interest. I'll give you a chance. Surrender with your people. I'll give you 5 seconds to consider. The blood at the broken arm of the mutated creature leader had stopped, and its eyes were full of anger. wishing to tear Yang Bo to pieces. 5-4-0. Without 3 Twun, Yang Bo's countdown ended. He raised his leg and kicked it in the abdomen. The powerful force made it hunch over and fly backwards several meters away, not giving it a chance to fight back at all. He followed up and hit the other party's face with his knee, and a sharp tooth flew out spinning. Suddenly, the mutated creature's face bloomed. The electric arcs on the opponent's body seemed to have some loose contact and flickered. Looking at his quickly recovering health, Yang Bo had to admit that the thunder-based ability was indeed strong. Even this layer of electric armor was enough to make close combat ability users drink a pot. As expected of my favorite ability, power is different. Several mutated creatures took the opportunity to break through Wang Kai's obstruction and rushed to Yang Bo's side, waving their sharp claws and preparing to dismember Yang Bo. Before Yang Bo could act, dozens of laser beams hit their bodies. Their health bars were cleared and they lost their lives silently. Raising his foot again to step on the body of the mutated creature leader, the long sword in his hand rested on the other party's neck, and said in an extremely calm voice, "Surrender or die." "Surrender," a hoarse voice rang out. And this mutated creature leader could be considered to have recognized reality. Yang Bo looked at it twice, raised his foot and said, "Tell your subordinates to stop." He needed to figure out what kind of shady deal there was between these mutated creatures and those humans. Roars. The mutated creature leader's voice resounded throughout the battlefield, and all the mutated creatures stopped upon hearing the voice. Yang Bo looked at the dropped items from his defeated puppets, feeling extremely distressed. The puppet handbook in his hand flipped, and he took back the remaining puppets. I still have to find a way to find low-level monsters to upgrade the level of the puppets. This 100 or so points of health is really too fragile. His gaze turned to the human side, and chaos appeared in the crowd again. Humans are easier to deal with than mutated creatures. The sky grew even more gloomy, and snowflakes fell from the sky. Yang Bo ignored the risen mutant leader. If he could step on it once, he could step on it a second time. That's the charm of data. As long as you can beat your opponent, there's basically no chance for them to turn the tables. But if you can't beat them, then you really can't. To avoid unnecessary confusion, Yang Bo took out sunglasses from his backpack and put them on. "Da Changji, what do we do?" A young man approached the middle-aged man whose chastity was almost violated and asked in a low voice. The current situation made him a little flustered. The mutants had all retreated to the periphery, making them the target of everyone's attention. The middle-aged man rolled his eyes and said unhappily, "How would I know what to do? Hurry up and check on the captain's condition. If it really doesn't work, pee on him. I heard that virgin boy urine can ward off evil." The captain was buried in pain at the moment and ignored what others said. Not unlike the legendary possessed, then what about him? "Do we make a move?" The young man looked at Yang Bo walking over, his face a little pale, not knowing if it was fear or because the weather was too cold. A solemn look flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes, but it quickly disappeared. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled pack of cigarettes. He took out one, put it in his mouth, and then extended his index finger. A wisp of orange flame rose and lit the cigarette. He took a deep breath and said, "It looks like the other party wants an explanation. I'll go take a look. If it doesn't work, you guys run. I should be able to hold them off for a while with that." The middle-aged man stood up straight and walked towards Yang Bo. He guessed correctly. Yang Bo did want an explanation, mainly why these seemingly normal humans were helping the mutants. The mutants no longer attacked, and Wang Kai ran to Yang Bo's side, following him towards those people. "Don't tell me you can't see that it and I are together." Yang Bo stopped about 5 meters in front of the middle-aged man, his eyes scrutinizing the other party. The clothes were old. The hair was messy, and even without getting close, he could smell the stench of tobacco oil on the other party. Very sloppy, but his eyes were very bright. "I can see it," the middle-aged man said straightforwardly. Yang Bo nodded lightly. pointed to the mutants on the periphery and asked, "You attacked me for those mutants. I don't know what mutants are." The middle-aged man shook his head gently and then said in a serious tone, "I only know that the mutants as you call them saved us. Saved us from those crazy animals." As he spoke, he flicked the ash from his cigarette, looking at Yang Bo without any evasion. Hearing the other party's explanation, Yang Bo narrowed his eyes slightly. This group of people and the mutants actually formed a symbiotic relationship. This is very interesting. Reaching out and touching Wang Kai beside him, Yang Bo asked without any hesitation, "Wang Kai, you decide whether to keep them or not." The tone was as if he was saying, "Wang Kai, you decide what to eat tonight." Not as if he was deciding the lives of 30-odd people. As a Chinese rural dog, Wang Kai immediately shook his head when he heard Yang Bo pass the question to him, and said, "Woof woof, they didn't hurt me." Yang Bo nodded lightly. Since the victim didn't say anything, he would let these people go. The main thing was that he didn't want to kill humans either. These were all potential laborers. The middle-aged man couldn't understand Wang Kai's words. The fire energy in his body frantically gathered. In his opinion, the other party was able to defeat the mutant leader. So his strength was definitely not something he could deal with. But he firmly believed in the power of his self-destruct, which would definitely make the other party feel bad. As the energy gathered, his originally sallow complexion became a little red, and his body began to swell. Just then Yang Bo's voice rang out. "Since my partner isn't pursuing your attack, then I'll let you go. Have you gained weight?" Hearing Yang Bo's words, the middle-aged man's determination immediately melted away, and his whole person was like a deflated balloon. Cough cough, a ball of sparks spewed from his mouth. Yang Bo wasn't stupid and could naturally see that the other party should be brewing a big move. But the ability to spit fire still opened his eyes. He couldn't help but give a thumbs up and praise. "This is the first time I've seen an evolver who can spit fire." The middle-aged man blushed and waved his hand. Unable to speak for a moment at this time, another figure walked out from the crowd. It was Wang, the captain who was crying like a woman just now. The other party had now awakened from the influence of the white eyes. But the frozen tear stains on his face, and the red eyes proved that this guy had cried a bit miserably just now. "Woof, boss, he's a wood-type ability user. It was almost exploded by the poison dragon drill just now. So naturally, he was very concerned about this man who used the ability." Yang Bo raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at this man who could be said to be young. The bridge of his nose was high and well-shaped, and his eyes were deep and bright. Even if he was crying a little red and swollen, it didn't affect him. "Chengji, are you okay?" His voice was a little hoarse, obviously because he had been crying too intensely just now. "I'm okay." The middle-aged man also recovered at this time, glanced at Yang Bo. A trace of worry flashed in his eyes, and said to Yang Bo, "Brother, it seems that this was all a misunderstanding. We thought you were foreign looters. And plus we now have an agreement with the mutant leader. So we attacked this Mr. Wang Kai looters." Yang Bo was very interested in this new term. "Tell me, what are these looters?" The middle-aged man scratched his head and said, "We came up with this name. They are also humans. But they secretly sneak into the city. And they don't communicate with us, looting various supplies and even people. Ambitious rioters." Yang Bo immediately understood what the so-called looters were after hearing the other party's explanation. Those who adhere to the dark law and only believe in their own self-interest. He had also heard Wang Hongbin say before that some people took advantage of the chaos to kill, rape and plunder, doing all kinds of evil. They adhered to the idea of living one day at a time, completely indulging their desires. It can be said that they are mentally mutated. Yang Bo had no desire to comment on this, nodded lightly, and then asked, "Then how did you end up with the mutants?" This time, the young man spoke up to explain Yang Bo's question. "It found us. It has its previous memories. But it's just memories." The snow fell heavier and heavier. Yang Bo found a clean house to use as his temporary resting place. Did you have memories from the very beginning? Or did they suddenly appear? The mutant leader squatted in the corner of the room, looking as aggrieved as a 200-year-old child. Its severed arm had already sprouted new flesh. And at this rate, a new arm would grow in a few days, at first. They were just fragments of memories, occasionally showing some seen as a few words, or one or two peoples. As I grew stronger, more and more memories appeared. At that time, I also understood the relationship between humans and us. What? Until the wild beasts in the wilderness went crazy and attacked the city. After we repelled, Themi's strength was improved again. And I also recalled all my memories. After listening to the other party's narration, many plots had already emerged in Yang Bo's mind. Such as Doomsday, I became a mutant as a mutant. I command the world if it weren't for him. With the evolution speed of the mutants, this mutant later with human memories might really be able to make a career in this Doomsday. Too bad it met the guiding light of its life today. Looking at the golden appearance of the other party, Yang Bo sat on the long chair in the room and asked softly, "Let's consider everything in the past as over. Now are you interested in working for me?" Mutant letter. It has all the memories of a human being, even if it doesn't have any empathy for the people or things inside. It still has the experience. What do you want me to do? Yang Bo chuckled and said, "It's nothing, just house-sitting. Farming and killing monsters, don't worry. You're so ugly that I definitely won't let you follow me around. This way you'll also have relative freedom. I'm ugly, but I don't eat your rice." The mutant leader really wanted to stand up and slap Yang Bo to let him know that his appearance was considered handsome among the mutants. "Do you need me to give you another 5 seconds to consider?" The mutant leader, who was still considering, felt a chill rise in its heart when it heard Yang Bo's words. The threat of death instantly woke it up. It never had a choice. "I'm willing." Yang Bo stood up and walked towards the mutant leader. "A wise choice. You're lucky that you're different from other mutants, or you'd be dead now." The number of mutants who died in his hands can be said to be countless. Those brainless mutants owned by one were like zombies in film and television dramas, only knowing how to rush up and bite him a few times. He took out the oven and sink from the lazy kitchen module, as well as the most awesome cow in a jar. The production method of cow in a jar is very simple and cruel. You only need to let a cow that is 2 meters long and more than 1 meter high stand on a glass jar, and then smash it down with an anvil to get a cow in a jar containing a miniature cow. An extremely cruel and bizarre method. This is equivalent to carrying a cow with you. "Xiao Ling, please make lunch." Turning his head to look at the mutant later, the golden particle effect on its body had disappeared. "Make a copy for it as well according to Wang Kai's meal size." Turning his head to look outside the room, through the fluorescence skill, he could see 2 figures walking towards the room where he was. Without guessing, he knew that the visitors must be the young leader of the survivors. Turning his gaze to the mutant letter, Yang Bo said with a smile, "I hope you never have a golden glow on your body." These words made the mutant leader somewhat confused. Knock, knock, knock. A knock on the door rings, and Jerry trotted over to open the door. Just as Yang Bo thought, the visitors were the young survivor leader and the middle-aged man who looked extremely sloppy. Compared with the young man's, the middle-aged man seemed very enthusiastic. He walked into the room, glanced at the mutant leader squatting in the corner, and walked towards Yang Bo with a bag in his hand. "This brother, I'm really sorry about what happened just now," as he said. He picked up the bag in his hand and handed it to Yang Bo. Continuing, "This is a small gift, nothing to show my respect." Looking at the blue light emanating through the bag, Yang Bo already knew what was inside without even opening it. As the saying goes, don't hit a smiling face. Yang Bo was not polite and stretched out his hand to take the bag and handed it to Jerry on the side. "The main thing is that it has hands. Since it's a misunderstanding, then just clear it up." "What are you two here for?" Seeing Yang Bo accept the thing, the smile on the middle-aged man's face became even brighter. He stretched out his hand to touch his pocket, took out the already flattened cigarette case, took out one and handed it to Yang Bo. No need to be polite, I quit. Or shall we go to the back room to talk? The middle-aged man put the cigarette back into the cigarette case dejectedly, looked back at the young man behind him, and after exchanging glances, they followed Yang Bo into another room. This room used to be an office, with a huge mahogany desk and some sofas, which was very suitable for talking about things. This brother, my name is Liu Yuncheng. You can call me by my name or Dasheng. This is our survivors leader, Wang Jun. We're here to find out about the situation outside. Since the beginning of the mutation, we've been completely cut off from the outside world, and we don't know what the situation is like outside. Yang Bo frowned slightly, feeling a little puzzled in his heart. Logically speaking, the local government should organize the survivors as soon as possible, and it is almost impossible for this kind of complete loss of contact to occur. The outside government and army have already gained a foothold and have begun to integrate survivors to resume work and production. Logically speaking, if you have a radio, you should be able to make contact with the outside world. Hearing Yang Bo's words, the young leader Wang Jun said calmly, I don't know why, but we can't contact the outside world at all. All kinds of communications are interfered with. At first we planned to migrate to other cities, but this sudden heavy snow interrupted our plan. And then those animals attacked the city after surviving. We also lost the ability to migrate long distances. Now we only have less than 2,000 people left. Yang Bo was silent for a while after hearing this. Logically speaking, even if the county town has a small population, it has a population of 100,000, but now there are only 2,000 left, less than 2% survival rate in the early stage. Without a formal army to resist those mutated creatures and mutants, it is not easy to have such a survival rate. What are you going to do next? Liu Yuncheng and Wang Jun looked at each other, and then said the idea they had when they came. We want you to become our leaders. The matter of letting Yang Bo become their leader has already been discussed. In this situation, only a stronger leader can lead them to survive. Even if they know that there are already gathering places outside, they can't even get out of the city without strength. Inside the luxurious office, Yang Bo sat in the leather executive chair behind the mahogany desk. Hearing their words, he suddenly felt that these 2 men were about to present him with a yellow robe. You 2 are setting me up. Hearing this, Liu Yuncheng's lips twitched twice, and he couldn't help but say, now is a time of chaos. Even if we risk our lives to defeat the enemy, probably no one will know. Why not follow the will of heaven? Support Yao Sira as our leader, and then slowly plan for the future. Yang Bo, okay. Okay. So you're really planning to make me don the yellow robe? I'm just an ordinary person with some special abilities. Actually, I'm not much different from you. At most, I'm just a little different. Yang Bo was clear about his own capabilities. Before transmigrating, the highest position he held was class monitor in the 3rd grade. His greatest function was to collect homework for the teacher. But now these 2 guys directly want him to become the leader of more than 2,000 people. Wouldn't that be like forcing a duck onto a perch? Just pretend I wasn't here. You guys do whatever you were doing. Maybe I'll leave in a couple of days. Hearing Yang Bo's words, the younger Wang Jun obviously didn't know what to say. But Liu Yuncheng said with a smile, no need for you to worry. You only need to determine the general direction, and we will naturally handle the minor details. As long as you are strong enough, you don't have to worry about anything. Liu Yuncheng thought very clearly. Now it can be said that the apocalypse has arrived. Only by relying on powerful forces or powerful individuals can one survive. If it weren't for this, they wouldn't have colluded with the mutated creatures. In the early stage of the mutation, 80% of humans died at the hands of mutated creatures. Didn't they know the stories of seeking skin from a tiger and drinking poison to quench thirst? But they only wanted to survive. Yang Bo was somewhat tempted by what they said. He now also needed some people to help him plant the land, so as to completely realize unlimited resources. Since you guys have said so, then I can only reluctantly agree. After lunch, I'll go with you to your camp to take a look. Yang Bo, who was acting like he was doing them a favor even though he was getting a good deal, began to plan how to develop his forces next, in fact. Before certain mods appeared his golden finger. Minecraft was more suitable for becoming a logistics personnel to develop strength. Seeing Yang Bo agree, smiles appeared on the faces of Liu Yuncheng and Wang Jun. If Yang Bo was really like those plunderers, with the strength he showed yesterday, they would have no way to resist, fortunately. Their topic changed from how to resist Yang Bo's attack to how to make Yang Bo their leader. In this way, everyone would become his people. And then no matter what the other party did, they would think twice. A typical case of if you can't beat them, join them noon. Under the life-doubting gazes of Liu Yuncheng and Wang Jun, Yang Bo stared as he took an empty bucket and filled it full of milk from the cow in a jar. In a while when you eat meat if you feel mentally affected, take a sip. This special milk can eliminate the effects of mutated meat. The two received the milk with trepidation. Looking at the white liquid inside, they couldn't help but recall those compatriots who had gone crazy from eating too much mutated animal meat. Mutated animal meat is not inedible, but taking just one bite requires a long time to digest in order to offset the mental impact. These were all bloody lessons. Eating large mouthfuls of the already grilled mutated steak, they occasionally picked up the iron bucket filled with milk and took a sip. At this moment, they truly felt that making Yang Bo their leader was a wise decision. After eating and drinking to their fill, satisfaction appeared on the faces of Wang Jun and Liu Yuncheng. They had almost forgotten the feeling of eating meat to their heart's content. Seeing the two people's expressions of enjoyment, Yang Bo chuckled and said, "Are you full? Then shall we set off to see the living area?" Liu Yuncheng patted his stomach, struggled to stand up, and said with a smile, "Leader Yang Yu must be laughing at us." Wang Jun on the side also stood up. The young man's skin was still a little thin compared to the others, and his face was a little red and he didn't speak. Yang Bo just smiled and didn't take up Liu Yuncheng's words, but turned his gaze to the mutated creature leader in the corner of the room and said, "You go back first. If there's anything, I'll arrange for someone to find you." The other party was currently happily gnawing on half a mutated cow. Its severed arm with sufficient nutrition was growing very fast. At this rate, it would be able to grow back in 3 days. Okay, they know where I am. After saying that, he carried the mutated cow with one hand and quietly left the room. "Let's go, let me see where you live." County Hospital. There were very few places in the urban area that could accommodate more than 2,000 people. And this county hospital with a new inpatient building happened to meet the needs of these people. "No, I have to leave," in the hospital lobby. Liu Yuncheng hugged Yang Bo's thigh tightly. "Leader Yang, we have no choice. Without a water supply system and a sewage system, it's normal for there to be some smell. We can focus on rectifying this aspect next." Smelling the ubiquitous stench in the hospital air, Yang Bo really couldn't hold back. The survivors here were completely different from the survivors he had seen before. Many people had lost the light in their eyes, like walking corpses. Wang Jun's clean and neat appearance was abnormal. Liu Yuncheng's slovenly appearance was the norm. Originally, Yang Bo was planning to choose 2 beautiful secretaries, but he couldn't even tell who was male and who was female at first glance. "No wonder you want me to be the leaders. This mess of yours, aren't you looking for a sucker?" Even the old fox Liu Yuncheng couldn't help but blush a little, and quickly said, "Leader Yang, these are still lives after all. Just take it as an act of kindness." People used to live in fear and had no time to deal with various trivial matters. With you here, we have a bright future. In less than half a month, it will definitely be completely new. Yang Bo stopped and looked at Liu Yuncheng hugging his leg, pointed to the garbage mountain outside the hospital wall and said, I will go there to light some special flames. You arrange for someone to clean up that mountain of shit for me first. Otherwise, you will die here with that mountain of shit. Yang Bo had netherrack and flint and steel in his backpack. As long as he lit the flames, it would be a natural and pollution-free garbage recycling device. Wang Jun, who had not spoken, immediately stepped forward and nodded no problem. No problems. Leader Yang, you are now the leader of everyone here. You can just give orders if you have anything, Yang Bo. He didn't know why, but he felt that the yellow robe he had originally seen suddenly had the words Meituan floating on it. Fierce flames burned on the red hellrock, and even the snowflakes falling from the sky did not affect the flames in the slightest. Yang Bo endured his nausea and lit dozens of garbage recycling devices made of hellrock around the garbage mountain. He held out his hand to Wang Jun and said, "Arrange for people to throw all the garbage here into the flames." Wang Jun looked at the somewhat unreal flames and nodded, saying, "Don't worry, leave it to me," as he spoke. He reached out towards the garbage mountain, and the ground began to shake soon. Thick roots emerged from the ground, carrying large amounts of garbage and throwing it into the flames on the hellrock. The garbage disappeared instantly upon touching the flames, as if entering another dimension. Even the constant influx of garbage did not affect the flames in the slightest. The surrounding people widened their eyes one by one at this magical scene. When they reacted, he stepped forward one after another, using various abilities to start clearing the garbage mountain. The daily garbage of several thousand people was simply too much. Even with special abilities, they couldn't clean it up in a short time. While this group of people cleaned up the garbage, Yang Bo also observed the abilities of each of them. The ability of one person caught his attention. That is telekinesis. Yun Cheng, who is that person? Yang Bo pointed to a middle-aged woman with no special effects on her body and asked Liu Yuncheng, who was beside him, in a low voice. Liu Yuncheng looked in the direction Yang Bo was pointing, and after seeing the person clearly, immediately said, "Liang Yan, 37 years old, was previously a teacher. She has the ability to manipulate other objects, but her ability is not strong. She can only manipulate objects weighing no more than 100 kilograms. She also cannot affect living creatures, so her combat ability can only be described as very poor." Hearing Liang Yan's information, Yang Bo nodded slightly. He was very satisfied with the other party's ability. As for what Liu Yuncheng said about the other party not being able to affect living creatures, he didn't care at all. After all, he didn't need such talents on the battlefield. As time passed, the garbage mountain became smaller and smaller, but the faces of those evolutionaries also became paler and paler. Obviously, this continuous use of abilities was very exhausting for them. "Leave this to them. Take me to look around inside the building." Wang Jun, as the former leader, stepped back. His mental energy was somewhat severely depleted, and he felt a little dizzy. However, he still squeezed out a smile and said to Yang Bo, "I'll take you over." Yang Bo walked into the hospital's inpatient building like a leader inspecting. The interior of the inpatient building appeared very dim due to the lack of electricity. Some windows were covered with cotton quilts in order to keep the rooms warmer. However, this dim environment was not a problem for Yang Bo, who possessed night vision. While looking at those numb people and walking towards the higher floors, Yang Bo suddenly asked, "What do you usually eat?" "Some forced-grown vegetables and food left over from grain and oil stores, supermarkets and shopping malls in the county." The main reason why Wang Jun was able to become the leader at such a young age was because he was a wood-type ability user, capable of leading other wood-type ability users to provide food for the survivors. "Take me to see the place where you grow vegetables." Yang Bo had already lost interest in these numb, ordinary people. They would not change until they saw hope. Following Wang Jun and the others to the first floor of the hospital's basement, they immediately felt a warm sensation upon entering. Walking out of the security door passage, the empty underground space had now been completely transformed. Many rooms were planted with tender green vegetables. There are fire-type ability users providing heat to the basement, ensuring that the plants can survive in this cold weather, while wood-type ability users accelerate the growth process. As he spoke, Wang Jun reached out and activated his ability, causing the vegetables to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. This was the first time Yang Bo had seen a wood-type ability user ripen plants. To be honest, it was faster than the growth rate of the vegetables he planted. But it was far worse compared to the crops in mysterious agriculture. It was likely because he only obtained various seeds and did not obtain the corresponding modules. Yang Bo took out a few soil blocks and a bucket of water from his backpack, placed them on the ground in the basement, and then planted a beef essence crop. He looked at Wang Jun expectantly and said, "Try it and see if you can ripen it." Wang Jun was still surprised by Yang Bo's ability. Hearing this, he came back to his senses and immediately mobilized the energy in his body. But after a few seconds, the beef essence crop still looked the same. He stared intently at the mosaic sapling on the farmland, and finally accepted reality and helplessly uttered a sentence, "I can't sense the existence of this strange plant." He suspected that this thing was not a plant at all. Yang Bo was slightly disappointed upon hearing this. Wood-type ability users can't affect the crops in my world. Alas, the hope of second-producing farms is shattered. I still have to wait until I get the accelerating torch in the future. How many floors are there in the basement of the county hospital in total? 2 floors. This time Liu Yuncheng answered the question. The second basement floor has now been converted into a warehouse. Some of the searched materials and daily necessities have been placed on the second basement floor, and special personnel have been arranged to guard them. If the supplies were not uniformly allocated, it would inevitably cause various disturbances. Even so, many people still secretly hid food, leading to many chaotic situations where people robbed each other. After understanding the basic information of this group of survivors, Yang Bo looked around at the surrounding environment and finally looked at Wang Jun and Liu Yuncheng and said, "Now that I have become your leaders, then I will definitely let you live well, then." His tone changed and said, "But I hope that my orders can be fully implemented. Otherwise, don't blame me for not explaining in advance. Remember the path you chose. You have to admit it even if you cry. Want to take advantage of him for nothing? Then it depends on whether his sword is sharp or not. Wang Jun, you are responsible for selecting the corresponding managers according to the floors, and compiling the detailed information of all survivors. Liu Yuncheng, you are responsible for gathering all the combat members tonight. I hope to get to know them and also let them know that I am here." So the rules have changed. After saying that, Yang Bo turned and walked towards the security door leading upstairs, leaving a group of people looking at each other, until Yang Bo's figure disappeared behind the security door. Liu Yuncheng ejected a cigarette from the cigarette case and put it in his mouth, reaching out and gently wiping it to directly light the cigarette. Taking a deep breath, said, "What do you think? Is it good or bad to let him become our leader?" Wang Jun reached out and touched Liu Yuncheng's pocket, took out the only remaining cigarette from the cigarette case, and put it in his mouth, saying, "I don't know if it's good or bad, but he really wants to change something, dong dong." Beneath the county hospital, Yang Bo, wielding an iron pickaxe, was constantly expanding the scope of his underground farm. Now that he had become the leader of 2,000 people, how could he not make use of them every so often? Yang Bo would stick a torch into the wall, so that the entire underground space wouldn't feel so dim and oppressive. "Brother Yang, the information on the survivors has been compiled." Su Ling walked over with a stack of A4 papers. Hearing this, Yang Bo stopped what he was doing and reached out to take the form containing the survivors' information. "Xiao Ling, how are the people I asked them to find?" Wang Jun has already arranged for 100 people, ready to come over at any time, but Su Ling frowned slightly and said, "It's just that those people's mental state isn't very good." "It's like," Yang Bo interrupted Su Ling, threw the documents into his backpack and said with a smile, Living corpses, right? Many of their relatives died in this sudden change, and they are trapped in this city without enough to eat or wear. It would be strange if they were still in high spirits. Not everyone has unwavering faith. People without hope or goals are just walking chunks of pork belly. Glancing at the large farmland that had been cultivated, Yang Bo solemnly said to Su Ling, "Let's first win over the people, give them hope, and then go all out." Winning over these survivors is actually very simple. Food, water, shelter, and safety. And Yang Bo could provide them with all of these. Passing through a narrow corridor, they returned to the second basement level of the hospital. Seeing Wang Jun waiting outside, along with the survivors standing in rows. These people were basically around 1.8 to 1.9 meters tall. Obviously some kind of physical evolutionaries, however. Compared to the body mutants Yang Bo had seen in Wang Hongbin's army before. They were simply malnourished. A sour smell permeated the small space of the basement. Yang Bo didn't show any unusual expression, but simply pointed to a room to the side. Arrange for them to take a bath first and change into clean clothes. He had anticipated the current situation when he visited earlier, so he had dug a large bathhouse in advance. In their current situation, with water and electricity cut off, taking a bath was very troublesome, mainly because the temperature was too low, unless they found a fire-type ability user to keep heating the water. Otherwise, they might easily catch a cold and cause a series of complications, which would be troublesome. But the water in Minecraft didn't have to worry about this. And after laying some magma blocks at the bottom of the water, it would make the water extremely suitable for bathing. Like a hot spring, it could be said that it was a complete enjoyment. Moreover, the water blocks in Minecraft had a self-refreshing function, so there was no need to worry about the water getting dirty at all. Seeing those people lining up to take a bath, Yang Bo beckoned to Wang Jun after they finished bathing. Arrange for them to go to the warehouse. Let's improve everyone's meals today, the cow essence, pig essence, and chicken essence that Yang Bo had planted before had accumulated a lot. And this was a good opportunity for these people to have a full meal. The warehouse on the second basement level was originally the hospital's storage room. But everything here had been cleaned out, and the surrounding shelves were filled with rice flour and other storable foods. Taking out a torch and sticking it on a clean shelf in the warehouse, the orange-yellow light illuminated the surrounding environment. This dim environment had no effect on him, but Su Ling and Wang Jun, who were behind him, didn't have the ability of night vision. Yang Bo frowned as he looked at the full warehouse and couldn't help but ask, "Is there only this much stuff? If this was for one person to eat, it could even last a lifetime. But for more than 2,000 people, it wouldn't last long at all." Hearing Yang Bo's words, Wang Jun could only show a helpless expression and said, "The supplies in the urban area are limited after all. If it weren't for being able to catalyze various crops, we would have starved to death long ago." Yang Bo sighed and didn't say much. This mess was even worse than he thought. He felt that if he hadn't appeared, these people would have lasted for 3 to 5 months at most. Either there would be a food shortage, or there would be an internal collapse. Walking to the wall, he cleared a space, placed the workbench against the wall, and then took out various essences and began to synthesize raw beef, raw pork, chicken, and a series of other foods. Su Ling, who was following behind Yang Bo, had long been accustomed to this, so she didn't pay too much attention. Instead, she curiously looked around at the various supplies. But Wang Jun almost popped his eyes out. He couldn't help but take 2 steps forward. And when he saw the beef that appeared out of thin air, he felt like he was dreaming. He reached out and rubbed his eyes. But the scene was still shockingly subversive. How is this possible? Where did this meat come from? Hearing Wang Jun's words, Yang Bo smiled jokingly and said, "Where did it come from? Of course it grew out of the ground. Don't worry, you'll know soon enough. Go prepare some plates first." Feeling that the amount of meat was almost enough, Yang Bo stopped synthesizing and instructed Wang Jun. Yang Bo then left the warehouse with Su Ling, preparing to find a place on the first basement level to use as a future cafeteria. As for the above-ground cafeteria, he wasn't considering it for the time being, mainly because it was too cold. He would renovate it in a couple of days before reopening it. Half an hour later, those who had been arranged by Yang Bo to take a bath gradually arrived in the temporary restaurant. Yang Bo was very satisfied when he looked at the survivors in front of him, who were much more energetic under Wang Jun's command. They once again stood in a square formation. Clearing his throat, he walked to the front of the crowd and said in a very relaxed voice, "I think you should all know my identity, your new letter. But to be honest, I really regretted it when I saw you. You are really too bad. Hardship has bent your backs. Sorrow has eroded your minds. And the light in your eyes has disappeared. Like walking corpses. I dare not say that I can save all of you. But I can make you eat your fill dress warmly. And even become stronger. And what you have to do is obey my orders." Listening to the gradually rising discussions below, Yang Bo reached out and pressed down, and the discussion gradually became smaller until the room became silent. "I won't ask you to express your feelings now. Not to mention that I wouldn't believe it. Even you yourselves wouldn't believe it. Time will prove everything I say. And what we have to do now is eat. Only by eating your fill will you have the strength to work hard for tomorrow." With a gentle wave of his hand, many steaks, pork chops, roasted lamb, and various vegetables appeared on the trays to the side. Those people were not interested in Yang Bo's words, but they had no resistance to these tempting roasted meats. Yang Bo was in the underground, supervising, crossed out, comforting the survivors who were farming. With a kind expression, teaching the 18 or 19-year-old girl hand by hand. "Don't worry, just take the watering can and take your time. Just make sure there's always water coming out. If you're tired, you can bring a stool over in the afternoon. Just be careful not to damage the farmland." The girl was obviously a little restrained, her body trembling slightly, especially the hands holding the high-grade essence watering can. Her fingers were a little pale from the force. I understand." Her voice was very soft, like a frightened rabbit. "It's just that she doesn't know that her gentle and weak appearance can arouse a desire for protection in some people." Yang Bo. Just as Yang Bo was about to teach the little girl how to use a sickle to harvest crops, the voice of Liu Yuncheng came from behind. "Chief." Disturbed in his interest, Yang Bo turned his head and stared at Liu Yuncheng with an extremely unkind expression. "What's wrong? I've only had a moment's rest in 3 days. And you're rushing me like I'm on my deathbed. Do you really think I'm your family's long-term worker? Speak, what's wrong again? This guy never brings good news." Seeing Yang Bo's expression that he couldn't wait to eat him, Liu Yuncheng quickly gave a dry laugh, and without beating around the bush said directly, "Chief, we're being attacked by raiders." Yang Bo's face darkened upon hearing this. "Raiders? Are any of our people injured? Also, have the enemies been caught?" Liu Yuncheng gave a dry laugh, a little lacking in confidence, and said that our people are not injured. It's just that those raiders ran away. Hearing this, Yang Bo didn't care that Liu Yuncheng was older than him. He directly raised his foot and kicked him off course. He didn't use much force otherwise. With his full strength kick, the other party's 150-pound body would definitely fly out and stick to the wall. He roared angrily, "I arranged 200 people for you, and even let you cooperate with those mutants. And now you're running over to say that the raiders who attacked us ran away. What did they send 500 people? Is destiny on their side?" Liu Yuncheng couldn't say a word after being scolded. The raiders only had 5 people in theory. With their 200 people, even if each person spat once, they could give those guys a warm bath. Although the individual strength of the other party is stronger than them, and their combat experience is richer. But in the face of such a disparity in numbers, any excuse is useless. Seeing Liu Yuncheng not saying a word, Yang Bo sighed and said, "Go take me over to take a look." Returning to the ground. Yang Bo's anger subsided a little when he saw the figures patrolling on the courtyard wall. He took out the whistle and blew it, summoning Wang Kai, who was inspecting the hygiene in the hospital building, and instantly appeared beside him. Woof. Wang Kai first looked around warily, and after finding that there was no danger, he tilted his head slightly and looked at Yang Bo with a puzzled expression. Take me to the place where you encountered those raiders. Liu Yuncheng nodded and led Yang Bo towards the back of the hospital building. Behind the hospital was a two-story cafeteria, and behind that was an open parking lot. As soon as they walked to the back, without Liu Yuncheng continuing to lead the way, Yang Bo saw many people standing near a courtyard wall, and there were also various traces left on the solid concrete ground. Those onlookers saw Yang Bo walking over with a somewhat gloomy face and gave way to a path. Wang Kai, smell the scent here and see where those raiders ran to. Although the outside of the wall was a vast expanse of white snow, there were no traces left. Presumably those raiders also had experts, however. They dare to come here to cause trouble. I must ransack their homes at this time. A young man stood up and pointed to a touch of bright red on the snow outside the wall and said, Chief, Lord Sang Biothet is the blood left by the injured raider. During these days, Wang Kai has naturally become a well-known existence in the gathering place. And he also knows that Wang Kai's intelligence is no different from that of humans, and is even stronger than ordinary people in some special areas. Wang Kai glanced at him, nodded slightly, and ran towards the blood stain. Yang Bo also glanced at the young man. He had some impression of him. He was one of the 30-odd people who followed Wang Jun and Liu Yuncheng to attack him. He can also be regarded as one of the elites in this gathering place. Soon Wang Kai ran back, barking loudly, his eyes looking in the southeast direction. Yang Bo stroked Wang Kai's head, his eyes also looking in the southeast direction, and said to Liu Yuncheng, take 20 people. Let's go meet this group of raiders. Liu Yuncheng nodded very seriously and said, yes. Led by Wang Kai, the group quickly walked out of the urban area, walking along a road covered by heavy snow. A series of footprints suddenly appeared on the snow. Yang Bo narrowed his eyes slightly. Is this the mental strength of that person among the raiders exhausted? The abilities of evolutionaries are not unlimited. There are restrictions similar to a mana bar. After it is used up, the ability user will feel exhausted, just like masturbating 7 or 8 times in a row all night. With the mark left by the other party, the speed of the group was even faster, mainly because the heavy snow had a great impact on the walking speed of Liu Yuncheng and his group. An hour later, just when Yang Bo was feeling a little impatient and was about to take Wang Kai to find those people alone, a small town appeared in front of him. Traces of human activity are also becoming more and more numerous. It looks like they're here. Be careful when you go over later. Yang Bo gave a word of advice and took the lead in riding Wang Kai towards the town. If he guessed correctly, the raiders here should have discovered them after all. A group of people walking in the snow is still very conspicuous. Just as he guessed, they were discovered by the vigilant raiders when they came over. Boss, someone's coming. A man who looked like stylish bro directly pushed open the door and walked into the room, not caring at all about the sensual scene intertwined on the bed. If someone comes, let them come. Take people over and take care of them. Do I still need to teach you this? There was a man like a bear on the bed, nearly 2.5 meters tall, with bulging muscles on his body. He didn't stop his movements after hearing the visitor's words, and his strong body kept steaming. You could tell at a glance that the amount of exercise had reached its limit. Big brother, it's people from the county, and there are quite a few of them. The man directly threw the exhausted woman aside after hearing this. He reached out and picked up the clothes placed on the bedside and put them on, a trace of disdain flowing in his cold eyes. Those soft eggs from the county. If it wasn't for their large numbers, I would have taken you guys to kill them long ago. By the way, didn't Liu Zai go to the county to scavenge today? It looks like he failed while speaking. The man put on his clothes and walked outside with stylish bro. Change someone for me later, really, they're too useless. Just stepping into the town's boundaries, Yangbo, through his upgraded level 2 fluorescence ability, saw those hiding in the houses nearby, clearly prepared for an ambush. 13, that's more than what Wang Jun and the others said. Yangbo stopped and didn't continue forward, like some irresponsible men, just hovering at the door without going in. Boss, that kid stopped moving. Do you think he discovered us? Handsome guy carefully observed Yangbo in the distance through the window. The bear-like man holding a sharp fire axe also watched Yangbo outside, a sneer forming on his lips, saying two possibilities. 1, the kid discovered us. 2, the kid is waiting for the people behind him to come in together. He, the man sneered and continued regardless. This kid doesn't look simple, especially that mutated dog he's riding. We can't let them join up. Strike first to gain the upper hand. Hesitate and suffer the consequences. I'll count to 3. Let's attack together and try to take him down directly. Then hide in our lair and figure out how to deal with the remaining trash. The people inside the room responded softly. This wasn't the first time they'd done something like this. They had excellent teamwork. 3, 2, 1, go. With a crash, the sturdy figure smashed through the window. The sharp glass didn't even scratch the man's skin as it fell to the ground with a thud. At the same time, he drew a throwing axe from his waist and hurled it at Yangbo. The others did the same. Those with ranged attacks all launched their assaults, and those whose attack range was insufficient jumped out of the windows. Being evolvers, this height was nothing to them. Yangbo, sitting on Wang Kai, wore an interested smile as he watched the attacks flying toward him. Without him even needing to move, Wang Kai took 2 steps to the side, perfectly dodging the attacks. Boom. An explosion sounded behind him. Yangbo didn't even turn his head, his gaze fixed on the second floor of the town. He felt a mental force penetrate his mind, but that was all. The mental force circled his body, left behind a bewildered signal and then disappeared. But Yangbo sensed its location. How rare among these dozen or so people. There's a mental ability evolver. Wait, there's even a wood-type ability user. No wonder these dozen or so people can live so comfortably in this town. It really is full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. The snowy ground beneath Wang Kai's feet churned, and a green vine burst out of the snow, quickly wrapping around Wang Kai's body. A cyan-colored energy sphere appeared, and Wang Kai discovered that the green vines were instantly shattered. Dai, the burly leaders, standing at 2.5 meters tall, raised his axe, his eyes flashing with bloodthirsty light, and viciously chopped at Wang Kai's head. He seemed to see the image of Wang Kai's head being smashed. Unfortunately, Yang Ba sitting on Wang Kai wasn't just for show. Bang, a gunshot rang out. A bullet hit the man's wrist. In pain, he released his grip, and the sharp fire axe fell to the ground. So tough. The bullet only left a wound on the man's wrist before losing momentum and falling to the snow. This pistol was still a toy he got from Wang Hongbin. He had played with it when he had nothing to do, but this was the first time he had used it to attack someone. The gunshot made those who were originally rushing over subconsciously stop. In their minds, the power of guns was still very strong. Boss, handsome guy shouted and reached out, a green light appearing on the man's body, and a thin armor quickly grew out. The others followed suit, using various self-preservation abilities. It can be used like this. How interesting. Bang-a-bang-a-bangs. Yangbo didn't hesitate and emptied the magazine directly at the man. The man wanted to use his strong physique to dodge, but Yangbo was obviously faster. The bullets all hit him without missing a single one. However, his time with the strange energy protecting him, the damage the bullets caused him was negligible. Some places only left a white mark. Click, click. The sound of an empty gun rang out, and the man's surprised expression turned ferocious. Out of bullets, haha, you'll die here today. Picking up the fire axe that had fallen on the ground, he strode towards Yangbo. Wang Kai, go take care of those people in the back. Saying Thish jumped off Wang Kai, took out a blue advanced essence axe in his hand, directly met the opponent's attack and said with a smile, "What a coincidence you also like to use axes." The man's heart trembled. His own full-strength attack was actually received so easily by the other party. It seemed that the other party didn't look strenuous at all. And where did the other party take the axe out from? Yang Bo didn't care about the other party's mental activities. He raised his axe and, imitating the other party's previous appearance, chopped back however this time. The other party's axe was directly cut in half by Yang Bo's attack, almost making the other party's eyes pop out. How is this possible? He now really wanted to report the other party for cheating. Although his axe was just an ordinary fire axe, the materials used were solid. How could it be directly cut off? Not bad. Yang Bo couldn't help but praise him when he saw the other party twisting his body to dodge his axe. "Young man, I see that your bones are extraordinary. Why not learn farming with me?" The man didn't answer, just roared angrily, picked up the half-damaged axe with one hand, and swung it towards Yang Bo's head. At this time, some thumb-thick vines appeared in the snow, quickly wrapping around Yang Bo's thighs, and quickly spreading towards his body. Seeing this, the man was very excited, and the movements in his hands could not help but speed up by 2 points. Yang Bo did not dodge, and also waved his axe to chop at the other party's body. As long as he hit the other party, he would definitely lose his ability to move. But the man did not stop. He was betting that Yang Bo would die if he went down with an axe. Unfortunately, he lost the bet. Puff. The fire axe hit Yang Bo's head, and Yang Bo's axe also swept across his body. It's just that his axing his unbelievable gaze passed through the other party's head, and the other party's axe also passed through his body. The difference is that the other party looks unscathed, and he is gutted. This impossible. What kind of monster are you? A lot of blood spurted out, instantly dyeing the surrounding snow red, and the man's internal organs could be seen through the wound. Don't talk with your physical fitness. Lying down properly might allow you to survive. Wouldn't I be letting down my golden finger if I didn't use the data ability? What? Yang Bo glanced at the dozen or so points of blood that had fallen, and walked towards those resisting plunderers without turning his head. The defeated enemy had already made him lose interest. At this time, Liu Yuncheng and his party also arrived late like the police in Hong Kong movies. In fact, this can't be blamed on them. The snow that is 1 meter deep is really too deep, after all. Not everyone can be like Yang Bo and Wang Kai, who can walk on the snow without leaving a trace. Good. The remaining looters didn't last long against Wang Kai and Liu Yuncheng's group. They were practically pinned to the ground and thrashed in an instant. The only slight surprise was that the psychic evolver hiding inside the building caused a small disturbance. However, among those who came with Yang Bo, there were also psychic evolvers, and the opponent's ability was detected as soon as it was activated. Then 2 fireballs flew in through the window. After the explosion, there was no more movement inside. After subduing the group, Yang Bo and his party followed them to the place where the looters lived. Yang Bo looked at the women imprisoned in the room. He couldn't help but say good 3 times in a row, however. As he said this, his face was so gloomy that it was almost dripping with water. When these women saw so many people coming in, they were so scared that they huddled in the corner of the room. Some of the women didn't even move, sitting on the ground motionless, hugging their legs with vacant eyes. It was the first time Yang Bo had seen such a dark scene, and it was really unacceptable to him. In his opinion, the world was already in the apocalypse. No matter what the reasons, if you don't want to be a willing pioneer, you can't become a demon who harms your own kind. Is the leader dead? Yang Bo's voice was unusually cold, making people feel like he wanted to kill something. Leader, that person is not dead. These words seemed to be squeezed out from between her teeth. The person speaking was someone Yang Bo knew named Liu Lily, the woman who had been affected by Bai Yan that day and wanted to take off Liu Yuncheng's pants. Good Yang Bo glanced at everyone and continued. Then he must live now, originally. I was wondering what system the gathering place should follow. Constitutional monarchy. Democratic republic feudal dynasty. But now I know one thing. And that is that it must have a slave system. Deprive these looters of all rights, having the right to die. And let them redeem themselves with their dirty lives. Liu Yuncheng. Arrange for people with healing abilities to rescue all the injured looters. Then break their limbs for those with special abilities. Break their limbs and then knock them unconscious. Liu Yunqing, with a cigarette in his mouth, glanced at the women in the room, took a deep breath, nodded silently and turned to say to a few people in the crowd, Zhu Yuan Wu Jai Yang Guangcom with me. The people whose names were called followed Liu Yuncheng out without saying a word. After a while, a series of shrill screams rang out outside. But soon those screams stopped abruptly. Liu Lily. Arrange for a few people to take care of them. And tell them that as long as they live, they will see those people get their just desserts. After saying that, Yang Bo walked out of the dim room. This kind of inhumane thing was bound to happen. But he didn't expect it to come so suddenly. Outside, Liu Yuncheng was mercilessly grabbing a looter with twisted limbs and forcibly straightening their fractured limbs. Xiao Wu Heal, a white light appeared, quickly merging into the looter's broken limbs. Obviously, Wu Jai's healing ability was not very strong, and he seemed a little strained just healing one arm. Okay, just make it grow back. As for whether it's crooked or not, that's not his concern. As he said that, Liu Yuncheng took the cigarette butt from his mouth and pressed it directly onto the looter's newly reattached limb. With a sizzle, the looter didn't even wake up from the burn. Yang Bo stepped forward and patted Liu Yuncheng on the shoulder. Saying, "Give me one," Liu Yuncheng was stunned for a moment. Then took out the cigarettes from his pocket, pulled one out and handed it to Yang Bo, and very sensibly extended a finger to help Yang Bo light it, while also pulling one out for himself. The two took a deep breath, looking exactly the same. Later, there's more than one group of looters around the county. Yang Bo nodded, lightly flicked the cigarette ash, and said in a deep voice, "I will arrange some airships for you, and then thoroughly patrol all the surrounding towns. Since we're talking about a slave system, how can we do without slaves?" Liu Yuncheng showed a silent smile and looked at Yang Bo very seriously. Saying, "Okay, leader." Another 2 hours passed. The group finally returned to the gathering place. The looters were still unconscious, all piled on the wooden boats, easily pulled back from the snow as soon as they returned. Su Ling and Wang Junhu were guarding the gathering place. Greeted them, seeing the miserable looters piled on the boat. A trace of doubt flashed in their eyes, especially Wang Jun, who was even more confused. To be honest, he really didn't care about the life or death of these looters. He felt that Yang Bo's trip was either to kill all these looters or bring them back. But now, looking at those looters who could only be said to be alive, he was really confused. "Are you okay?" Su Ling came to Yang Bo, her eyes constantly scanning Yang Bo's body. She had never seen Yang Bo injured, but she was still a little worried in her heart. The feeling of being cared for is quite nice. It's okay. Su Ling, if you have time, go and help Liu Lily comfort those people. Su Ling looked in the direction Yang Bo indicated, where there were many women, and their frightened eyes made her feel uneasy in her heart. Su Ling's face turned a little pale, because she imagined some terrifying scenes. Yang Bo just nodded lightly and said to Wang Jun, "Go find Liu Yuncheng to understand the situation, and then find a way to deal with those looters, and also settle those women." Wang Jun was also a knowledgeable person, and he also saw this group of women who did not belong to the gathering place. Nodding heavily and saying, "I understand. Settle everything and then go to the parking lot to find me." After saying that, Yang Bo walked straight towards the parking lot behind the hospital. After arriving at the parking lot and seeing the thick snow, Yang Bo took out a shovel from his backpack. First, make an airship base. At least there must be 100 airships. Now he has initially possessed unlimited resources. as long as the people in the gathering place keep planting various essence crops for him. Then his various basic materials will be endless. Now all that's missing is the nether star with the nether star. I can make the ultimate weapons. It seems that I still have to take a trip to Lee City in a few days. He didn't suddenly decide to go to Lee City, mainly because according to the information on the map, this temperature drop has a range, and its most central location is Lee City. He is going to see what exactly happened there. The children's education problem must be brought up. In the cafeteria, Yang Bo looked at the dozens of little radishes who were eating. They were very quiet while eating. Even the child who looked only 5 or 6 years old. A kind of stability that did not match their age appeared on them. Most of them had become orphans and had been taken care of by other survivors. After experiencing many hardships, their minds had undergone a forced growth. Wang Jun, who was eating next to him, said after hearing Yang Bo's words, I am also considering this matter. We didn't have the conditions before, but now that the leader have come, we finally don't have to worry about food anymore. And there are more things to consider. Knowing etiquette comes from having enough to eat. It is almost impossible to expect people who can't get enough to eat to study hard. Yang Bo nodded slightly, turned his head and looked at Su Ling, and said, Xiao Ling, I will leave the children's affairs to you, and Wang Jun will fully cooperate with you. The information says that there are still many people among the survivors who used to be teachers. Let them take on the education of cultural courses, and pay attention to testing their talents. We will directly distinguish according to the military's 150-point system, so that it will be convenient in the future. Su Ling was a little surprised that Yang Bo would entrust this important matter to her. But she quickly reacted and nodded to accept the matter. Okay, then she looked at Wang Jun with a smile and said, Then please take care of me in the future. Wang Jun quickly said, Don't be so polite. I will have to ask you to take care of me in the future. Although he didn't see any secret relationship between Yang Bo and Su Ling, he would rather not believe his eyes and didn't want anything to happen between the two of them. Yang Bo put down the chopsticks in his hand and stood up and said, You guys eat first, I'll go take care of some things. Leaving the cafeteria, looked up at the sky. And from time to time an airship would fly across the sky. The airship's flight altitude was not too high. This was to avoid being discovered by those noble aerial units. No matter what, the Air Force always takes the initiative. The quantity is still a bit small. It seems that we have to make more airships. It's a bit exaggerated to have one for each person, but it should still be feasible to have one for every 10 people. Anyway, the airship in the module does not have a durability display. So when we have new mounts in the future, we can convert all these airships to civilian use and use them as aerial electric vehicles. And there will be no problem even if they crash at a speed of 40 mph. Back underground even during meal times, a group of people were busy planting the land. They voluntarily took turns to eat, which had nothing to do with Yang Bo. Perhaps because in this environment, having something to do is a very good way to relieve stress for them. Jerry is an old man, was walking around in the farmland with his hands behind his back, looking like a human. A 3-meter-tall rat did not cause any chaos. The people around had long been accustomed to it and were obviously used to Jerry's existence. Hearing Yang Bo's call, Jerry immediately ran towards Yang Bo, boss. At this moment, the little chick flew out of Jerry's hair and went straight into Yang Bo's coat hood. Jerry, I'm going to Lee City to take a look. Are you going with me? Or are you waiting here for me to come back? Wherever you go, I will go. Jerry replied without hesitation. Although living here is also very interesting, it still likes to be with Yang Bo and Wang Kai. Okay, get ready. Let's set off for Lee City in a while to see if the blizzard weather is the reason it appeared there. Leaving the county seat. Woo, brother, bio faster. The person who said this was naturally not Yang Bo. Yang Bo was riding on Wang Kai's back at the moment, holding a leash in his hand, and the other end was also tied to Jerry. Hearing Jerry's words, Wang Kai's limbs immediately showed a touch of cyan, and instantly its speed increased by another 20%. Woo-woo, Jerry was sitting on the wooden boat, tightly holding the surroundings, enjoying this speed and passion that was very rare for him. The biting cold wind was like a knife hitting Jerry's body. Even as an evolved creature, it had to use its ability to strengthen its defense. There are mutated creatures ahead. The little chick's voice appeared in several people's minds, and a strange creature emerged from the snow. It was snow white all over. If it weren't for the fluorescence effect, Yang Bo wouldn't have been able to see it for a while. Wang Kai, be careful. Wang Kai, who was running wildly, suddenly stopped. The ability to go from extreme motion to extreme stillness would make some people who saw it suffer and spit out blood. It and Yang Bo stopped, but Jerry in the back did not stop. Accompanied by Jerry's scream of horror and excitement, it crashed into the mutated creature. Bang. It was directly crushed, just like a runaway truck crashing into a pedestrian. Afterwards, Jerry released his metallization ability and walked off the boat with a dizzy head. Brother Bio, next time give me a heads up. Puff Jerry, whose body was mortal, fainted directly in the snow. Yang Bo quickly jumped off Wang Kai's back and ran quickly towards Jerry. After finding that it was just a little dizzy, he breathed a sigh of relief. Wang Kai, don't play like this next time. If the other party is harder than Jerry, then Jerry will be the one who is crushed. Wang Kai put on a bitter dog face and leaned to Jerry's side. Woof, I know. Picking up the dropped loot on the ground, Yang Bo stared at the minced meat, wondering what kind of animal it was mutated from. But after looking at it for a long time, he couldn't find any useful information from this pile of minced meat. Could it be a mutated rabbit? Scratching his head, Yang Bo looked up at his destination, Lee City. There were many mountains around Lee City, which could be said to be surrounded by mountains. However, because it bordered the plains, the terrain was not like the mountain cities in the south, allowing the city to directly integrate with the mountains. It seems that the problem is here. White smoke was constantly rising from Lee City, completely covering the sky above the city. To investigate the situation in the city, one must go deep into it. No wonder there is no information on the map. It would be strange if you could see it in the sky. Bending down and picking up Jerry's rat head from the snow, he took out a bucket of milk and poured it into its mouth. Thought about it, and then took out a bottle of healing potion and poured it into Jerry's mouth. The effect was immediate. Jerry, who was originally dizzy, bounced up from the ground and said to Wang Kai, Brother Bio, your car is definitely a black car. Wang Kai, I don't know who is calling so happily, just no faster. Vaster. Yang Bo looked at the dog and rat with a smile and said, okay. Stop chatting, people are here to welcome us. A group of small snow-white balls emerged from the snow. They were virtually identical to the monster Jerry had run, differing only slightly in size. Seeing these monsters rushing towards him, an idea immediately popped into Yang Bo's head. Aren't these monsters the perfect choice for the puppets to level up? Initially, he had planned to go to the city to see if those spore creatures were still there, thinking that if he could capture one, he might be able to cultivate a large number of them himself. As he took out the puppet manual from his backpack, intending to summon puppets, Little Chick's voice echoed in his mind, so cold. Yang Bo was taken aback for a moment, then directly opened the puppet manual, and many light spheres flew out from the book, one by one. 3-meter-tall puppets appeared in front of Yang Bo, taking stiff steps towards those fur balls that were a little over a meter in size. Bang bang, the monsters and the puppet army collided, and countless fur balls flew into the sky for a time, their bodies being too light for the puppets. These fur balls were not strong in themselves, and Yang Bo also discovered a problem, which was that these fur balls would not attack at all. The puppet's health did not decrease at all. Yang Bo frowned slightly and took Little Chick out of the hat behind him. It had shrunk its body into a ball and was shivering. How do you feel? If you can't handle it, leave here first. So cold after they came. I felt the temperature dropping rapidly. Well, it seems that the temperature drop is also due to these guys. After thinking for a while, Yang Bo took out the lava bucket from his backpack and poured it directly onto the snow. The lava bucket was opened from the epic loot bag, but the quantity was not large. The red lava instantly melted the snow below, and even the surrounding falling snow was quickly disappearing, leaving no trace in the world of Minecraft. Lava has the ability to ignite surrounding wood products and ice. It's just that in reality, it can even melt snow. Those fur balls rushed towards the lava as soon as they saw it, ignoring the puppets that were constantly attacking them. Yang Bo took the opportunity to retreat a distance, and the fur balls running in front surrounded the lava. Even if he couldn't see their expressions, Yang Bo could feel their enjoyment. The temperature is rising. Little Chick was finally no longer curled up in a ball. Yang Bo nodded while holding Little Chick in his hand and said, "It seems that these guys are really the reason." A Little Chick, communicate with them and see if there is a way to communicate. While saying this, the other hand held the puppet manual and controlled the puppets to stop attacking, but did not take them back, but surrounded them around the lava, waiting for orders at any time. A few seconds later, Little Chick's voice sounded again and said, "No. Their intelligence is very low. The level of intelligence is stronger than me before I evolved, but it should not reach the level of Brother Bio." Yang Bo pondered for a moment and said to Wang Kai, "Go and bring one over, I'll study it." Wang Kai's speed was still very fast. As soon as he finished speaking, it had already brought back a struggling fur ball. Boss here, Yang Bo reached out and took the fur ball, and then found that the feel of this thing was still very good. The other party's body was round, with short legs and a pair of small hands. This thing didn't have eyes, but it had a mouth. Being pinched in Yang Bo's hand, it was still struggling non-stop, wanting to return to the place just now. It's absorbing the surrounding heat. Little Chick's urgent voice sounded, and then flapped its wings and moved away from the fur ball. Because Yang Bo's body was data-driven and he hadn't obtained any self-abuse modules, he could only feel a little cold and a little hot. But coldness had nothing to do with him. Even if he held this little fur ball, he would at most have a cool feeling, absorbing heat. The world is full of wonders. Yang Bo played with the fur ball in his hand, and then threw it out. It had no animosity or revenge thoughts at all, and drilled out of the snow and re-entered the fur ball pile. "Let's go into the city first. Let's put these little fur balls here first. I feel like they should be reluctant to leave here. If this group of creatures really feeds on heat, then their role is too great. However, it seems that as long as there are a large number of such harmless creatures, the impact will definitely be greater than that of mutated creatures." Looking at the city not far away, Yang Bo simply did not take back the puppets, and directly led the puppets towards the city. Along the way, he encountered many fur balls. It seemed that there were a large number of these creatures in the city. Looking at the little fur balls rushing from all directions, Yang Bo sighed helplessly. It seems that the heat on our bodies is delicious food in their eyes. Jerry, you fly the airship higher to avoid being affected. Jerry's ability was greatly affected on the snow. So after arriving in the city, Yang Bo asked him to drive the airship to follow behind. "Okay, boss, be careful." To deal with these little fur balls, Yang Bo took out some magma stones from his backpack and placed them on the ground. Although they were not as strong as lava, they were still an inexhaustible feast for these fur balls who lived in the ice and snow every day. In this way, there were many such fur ball gathering places along the way, and they huddled together greedily enjoying the warmth. "Boss, there are different creatures ahead." Wang Kai, who was flying in the air, issued a warning. Yang Bo looked up into the distance, and some crystal-clear creatures were wandering on the road. "What are these creatures?" Each one looked like it was made of ice, completely violating the setting of carbon-based creatures. But on second thought, even if his puppets installed a pumpkin, they could live. So the existence of these ice-made spirits seemed quite reasonable. Wang Kai, be careful. Yang Bo touched Wang Kai's head and told him. Those ice-like creatures carried golden particles. Obviously their strength was not bad. And they were not very friendly at this time. A rhombus-shaped ice block seemed to have discovered them and floated towards them in the snow. An energy stone was located in the center of its body, clearly visible through its crystal-clear body. Many small ice crystals surrounded its body. This thing must not be a native of this world. Although he couldn't figure out why there were cracks in this city and the surrounding buildings were intact, Yang Bo still felt that this creature should have smuggled over from another world. These creatures like moving ice blocks even have chain hatred. Adhering to the principle of striking first, Yang Bo controlled the puppet army to launch an attack, and beams of light shot out from the laser cannon. In just an instant, countless ice crystal creatures appeared from all directions, quickly rushing towards Yang Bo's location. Golden particles flickered on their bodies, and their strength was all above level 4. Even the first one that was activated by a group of puppets didn't die. But its crystal-clear body was covered with cracks. At least level 5 or above, a bit tricky. He took out the puppet handbook and recalled all the puppets around him. No, letting the puppets rush up would be a pure waste of resources. I have to do it myself, Wang Kai, be careful, woof. Wang Kai's attack might be a little weaker than Yang Bo's at full strength, but its speed is definitely top-notch. As those ice crystal creatures approached, many floating ice cones suddenly appeared in the sky. When they grew to the size of a baby's arm, those ice cones quickly fell as dense as raindrops. Not only that, but those small rhombic crystals that were originally suspended around the ice crystal creatures also shot towards Yang Bo and Wang Kai like arrows. For a time, Yang Bo had no space to dodge, and all he could see were the opponent's attacks. Damn it. An obsidian wall rose, quickly blocking the attacks from above and in front. Crackled. The ice cones shattered when they hit the obsidian. But in just a dozen seconds, Yang Bo and Wang Kai were buried by the broken ice crystals. To Yang Bo's surprise, after the ice crystal creatures flew over, they didn't use other means, but emitted a blue light from their bodies, constantly reinforcing the surrounding broken ice crystals. This are they planning to freeze us in? Yang Bo reached out and touched the increasingly solid ice walls. A look of surprise on his face. God Chinese letter. I was actually schemed against by a bunch of ice blocks. The other party obviously knows that their ice cone attack won't be effective. This is really interesting. He turned his head and glanced at Wang Kai and asked, "Are you okay, Woof?" Wang Kai barked, indicating that it was fine. But its eyes were fixed on the shrinking internal space. Feeling a little bored, those peripheral ice crystal creatures were constantly using their abilities, and it looked like they were preparing to directly freeze Yang Bo and Wang Kai to death inside. Unfortunately, they don't know what kind of existence they are facing. A blue pickaxe appeared in Yang Bo's hand, and he struck the increasingly crystal-clear ice wall. Bang! The solid ice block disappeared directly. Does this all require precise collection? He originally thought that this kind of ice, which was not from Minecraft, would drop ice blocks or directly turn into water when it was knocked off. But he didn't expect it to suddenly disappear. This shattered Yang Bo's idea of bringing some ice blocks back. Looking at the ice crystal creatures outside, Yang Bo suddenly had a bold idea. Wang Kai, come here. He fed Wang Kai many small bones, and Wang Kai's body shrank to the size of a normal dog. Dig a long tunnel at your feet. You go down first, I'll leave them a little gift. Wang Kai obediently burrowed into the ground. After Yang Bo had no worries, he directly took out soul sand from his backpack. He placed it on the ground in a T shape, and then took out 3 wither skeleton heads and placed them on top. With a bang, the soul sandwich was originally a cube, directly turned into a creature with a blue light and 3 heads. It is the Wither, a nether boss in Minecraft. It has the ability to launch skull heads and enable the enemy to obtain the negative effect of wither, and has extremely high movement speed and attack power. Because of the wither's generation, the surrounding sky obviously became darker, giving people an extremely depressing feeling. In Yang Bo's sight, a long health bar also appeared, but the health bar was only half full at the moment. But as the wither's body expanded, the health bar was also rapidly increasing. You guys have fun. Yang Bo took one last look at the wither and the ice crystal creatures outside, who were still working hard to reinforce the ice wall. Then burrowed into the ground without looking back, and completely blocked the hole slipped away. When he got underground, Yang Bo quickly dug underground with his pickaxe to avoid attracting the wither's hatred. As another boss-esque, the wither hates any living creature, and after sensing them, it will take the initiative to attack. The health bar in Yang Bo's sight quickly filled up. A roar that made people feel terrified, accompanied by an explosion, came from overhead. Yang Bo stopped digging, hugged Wang Kai, and paid attention to the wither's exclusive health bar above his head. Damn, such a big explosion. It looks like it's a wither in hard mode. The effect of glowstone is still stable, and the wither, which was originally motionless, has now begun to move. Without guessing, he also knew that the wither had broken away from the ice wall and was attacking all the life around it that was considered living. Yang Bo looked at the wither boss's figure in his sight, and the health bar that was constantly decreasing and increasing like audio, and couldn't help but smack his lips. This wither is really ferocious. Although he can definitely beat the wither boss now, he has to admit that the wither boss in hard mode is indeed difficult to deal with. I hope the ice crystal creatures outside can give a little bit of strength. As time passed, the wither boss's health has been hovering around half health. When the wither's health is reduced to less than half, the wither will be given the wither armor effect, which makes the wither immune to some ranged damage. If those ice crystal creatures can't do melee attacks, then it will be interesting. The figure of the wither in his sight is getting farther and farther away. Yang Bo carefully returned to the ground along the original route while holding Wang Kai. As soon as he poked his head out, he saw the environment that seemed to have been washed by artillery fire. Not only were there corpses left by the ice crystal creatures all over the ground, but also countless potholes. It was not difficult to imagine that these were all blown out by the wither's attacks. Too brutal. It's just that the wither doesn't drop anything when it kills enemies. That's the problem, just as Yang Bo was sighing. The wither's health bar was rapidly decreasing, but only in 2 or 3 minutes. A strange whisper sounded in his mind. This is the sound of the wither boss being killed. Yang Bo was very surprised and looked at the place where the wither boss disappeared, muttering, it actually died so quickly. It seems that there are enemies with melee abilities over. Otherwise, hoping that those ice crystal creatures that don't even have hands can kill the wither is not as good as hoping that those guys will use their abilities to freeze the wither to death. If only I could release a wither storm, raising his foot. He crushed the cracked bodies of the monsters, then bent down and picked up the energy stone that still emitted a faint blue light. He tossed it up and down a couple of times, then looked up at the large amount of wreckage around him, and sighed deeply. When will this be over? Jerry, who was flying in the sky, controlled the airship to slowly descend after seeing Yang Bo appear. As soon as he came down, he couldn't wait to ask, "Boss, what was that monster just now? It actually had 3 heads." What? Yang Bo looked at the place where the wither disappeared and explained with a smile, "Wither. A special monster. In a while you take little chick and leave the city first. This wither doesn't distinguish between friend and foe at all. You're just a living target in the sky." Jerry nodded while holding little chick in his arms. The monster just now gave him a very bad feeling. The strange heads that flew out of its body hit those ice crystal monsters, completely ignoring their solid defenses. "You guys collect the energy stones here. If there's anything wrong, leave quickly, don't hesitate. Wang Kai and I will go ahead and take a look." After giving instructions, Yang Bo walked towards the place where the wither disappeared while carrying Wang Kai. Other things didn't matter. But the nether star, dropped by the wither boss, had to be picked up. He walked forward following the traces of destruction left by the wither. Soon many ice crystal creatures appeared. But behind them were some wolf-like monsters, pure white without any impurities, as if they were carved from snow. Looks like the wither was killed by these guys. The wither with less than half health has a special wither armor that is basically immune to ranged attacks. Ow tilde. This group of ice wolves howled and rushed towards Yangbo, stepping on the thick snow. It's unknown what ability these guys used, but they only left shallow marks when running on the snow. A dragon-like smile appeared on the corner of Yangbo's mouth. One isn't enough, then how about 10? Soul sand quickly appeared on the ground, followed by withers emitting blue light. Such a scene made the instigator himself feel a chill down his spine. After finishing all this, Yangbo picked up Wang Kai from the ground without saying a word and ran away. Woof woof, boss, let me go, I'm faster than you. Yangbo seemed to hear Wang Kai's inner voice and said with a smile, "It's because you run fast that I have to hold you." What? Those ice wolves naturally wouldn't give up chasing Yangbo, but many of them began to besiege the withers that were constantly expanding. But unfortunately, the wither at this stage can be said to be an invincible existence. Boom! A series of explosions sounded, and Yangbo stopped directly after hearing them. Turning around, he saw that bloody scene. Countless ice wolves were blown into the air, but some flew with their heads, some with their feet, and even some internal organs were scattered. The power of explosions in my world seems to have increased by more than a little bit. The power of TNT is also the same. Although the range is limited by data, the power has been greatly enhanced. It is unknown whether it is good or bad. And the explosion generated at the moment of the wither's birth is also the same. Hearing the explosion behind him, not only Yangbo turned his head, but those galloping ice wolves also subconsciously looked back. 10 withers flew into the sky, and countless skull heads flew out of their bodies. Just like bombers, for Atim explosions were endless, and the thick snow on the ground was easily blown away. The ice wolves stopped, but Yangbo didn't idle. Holding the advanced essence axe, he approached an ice wolf more than 2 meters tall and slashed at its head with a light jump. Half of the axe was submerged in the opponent's head. Quite hard. Wolves are creatures with copper heads and iron tails, so it's normal for their heads to be harder. Ow. The wolf let out a shrill scream and then fell to the ground. Twitching non-stop, even if it wasn't dead, it was close. The other wolves also came back to their senses and pounced on Yangbo. Yangbo sneered and greeted them without any fear. A shield emitting enchanted light appeared in his hand. He easily blocked the attack from in front of him, and the axe in his hand quickly chopped at the ice wolf's big face. Facts proved that the axe in Yangbo's hand was much harder than the teeth of these ice wolves. The other ice wolves prepared to besiege Yangbo. At this moment, a huge dark golden giant dog appeared in front of them. Even though their size had reached 4 meters long, they still looked like children who hadn't grown up in front of this dog. Wu Fangkai, who had doubled in size through the big bone, opened his mouth and directly bit the body of an ice wolf preparing to pounce on Yangbo. Under that powerful bite force, the opponent's body was directly bitten in two. Black Strike LV5s. 20% chance to cause a fatal blow, increasing damage by 300%. This wolf was obviously unlucky and triggered the effect of Wang Kai's new skill. Otherwise, with Wang Kai's current strength, it would not have been possible to achieve such a one-hit kill effect. Good job. Yangbo also saw Wang Kai's attack and couldn't help but praise him. Wang Kai, who was praised, wagged his tail like an electric fan, with a ferocious expression on his face as he pounced into the wolf pack, with countless wind blades surrounding his body. Yangbo, I'm just praising you, not giving you a shot of adrenaline. Since Wang Kai knew that he could be resurrected, his fighting style had become more and more unrestrained. Taking the time to glance at the withers in the distance, the battle there had become more intense. Those ice crystals shot out countless ice cones and summoned ice walls, wanting to trap the withers. Unfortunately, The Wither's attack had explosive properties, and the ice walls that were summoned with great difficulty were easily blown open. However, health was the Wither's weakness. 300 health points made it seem a little fragile. An ice cone hitting the Wither could take away more than 10 health points. These Withers were almost constantly hovering between the first and second stages. The most pitiful were those ice wolves that surrounded them, as melee units they were closest to the Wither, so they had been taking a beating all the time. The Wither's attack wasn't high, but the negative effect of Wither II made them feel like they were dying. This situation didn't last long. As the Withers fell to the ground, these ice wolves also exerted their effect, jumping up and pouncing on the Withers, opening their mouths and biting. One Wither after another fell to the ground, harvesting the ice wolf that was about to pounce him on the ground with his axe. Yang Bo looked up at the Withers in the distance that were becoming fewer and fewer, and murmured, "Is the number still a bit small, however?" When Yang Bo saw a stamina pouch falling out after a Wither died, he temporarily dispelled the idea of continuing to summon Withers. Monsters killed by the Wither don't drop loot. I didn't expect that the Withers killed by these monsters could drop loot. With the complete demise of the Wither, Yang Bo also finished off the pack of ice wolves that had caught up. Ever since seeing that endurance pouch, Yang Bo knew he had no way to retreat. Each pouch was fundamental to increasing his strength. These kinds of things that depend on luck to obtain. Who knows when he'd get another one if he missed this chance. He also didn't dare summon the Wither again, lest it blow up the endurance pouch. He'd have nowhere to cry. Just as he was pondering how to clean up this countless horde of monsters, Wenke, who was squatting on the snow to recover health, suddenly let out a comfortable moan, woof woof. Yang Bo was startled by the sudden sound. Staring intently at Wang Qian said uncertainly, "Bro, you're not going into heeds, are you? You and these ice wolves aren't the same species, let's take it easy. What if that thing is made of ice? You won't be able to handle it." Wang Kai was immersed in the comfort of leveling up, completely ignoring Yang Bo's crude jokes. Its original body nearly 7 meters long expanded again, stopping only when it reached 10 meters. Such a length could already be considered a behemoth. Even without the blessing of the big bones, Wang Kai could still have a body length of 5 meters. Yang Bo glanced at the monsters in the distance, preparing to wander over, and then at Wang Kai, who was clearly leveling up, gritting his teeth and taking out a large amount of TNT from his backpack. Damn it, forget the loot. He had accumulated a lot of TNT in his spare time after all. The materials only required sand and gunpowder. Just as he was about to lay down TNT to buy time for Wang Kai's upgrade, Wang Kai suddenly opened its eyes. "Awesome, Yang Bo." Yang Bo wasn't surprised that Wang Kai could speak after leveling up, because Wang Kai had always envied Jerry's ability to talk. But Yang Bo really couldn't understand. What did it mean to just say "awesome" after leveling up? Hearing his own voice, Wang Kai immediately became excited. Looking at Yang Boho seemed unsure how to respond and said, "Boss, I can talk now, and my strength and abilities are much stronger." Wang Kai had many buffs, and each level up would bring a qualitative leap in its strength. Looking at the excited Wang Kai, Yang Bo imitated Tom from Tom and Jerry, leaned close to Wang Kai, raised his arm, and pointed a finger at the approaching monster armor, saying, "Wang Kai, hold them back, I'll go pick up the loot." Hearing the mission issued by Yang Bo, Wang Kai showed no fear, but instead became even more excited. "No problem, boss, you can go without worry, Yang Bo. After we return to the gathering place, you'll go to school too if you can't speak properly. Then don't speak, though, almost gave me a heart attack." With that said, Yang Bo took out a bottle of invisibility potion from his backpack and drank it. Instantly, his figure disappeared from the spot, Wang Kai, because it was a companion could see Yang Bo's illusory body. And seeing Yang Bo heading towards the monsters, it immediately rushed over, its body turned into a blow. And in just a few seconds it collided with the monsters. The range of the wind blades surrounding it became larger and stronger. Some of the weaker ice wolves didn't even have the qualifications to get close. Forcibly entering Wang Kai's domain would only result in being slowly sliced into pieces of meat. The cold wind was piercing, but Wang Kai's body didn't lose its agility despite its size. The ice wolves bitten by its bloody maw almost all died on the spot, and some unlucky fellows triggered Black Strike, leaving not even a complete corpse. Those relatively slow-moving ice crystal creatures also began to attack Wang Kai, with ice cones shooting at Wang Kai. Most were cut open or blocked by the wind blades, and the remaining ones that penetrated the wind wall could only cause Wang Kai slight damage. Coupled with the recovery power of an evolved creature and the life regeneration II effect provided by the grinding stick, Wang Kai possessed an extremely perverted recovery speed. Yang Boho was shuttling through the monster crowd, saw Wang Kai's domineering figure and thought, Wang Kai and I are gonna wreak havoc. Wang Kai is responsible for wreaking havoc, and I'm responsible for wreaking that won't do. I must increase my strength, or else I won't even be qualified to call Wang Kai by its nickname in the future. After all, if his strength is too far behind Wang Kai's, then it would be impolite to call it by its nickname. Relying on the invisibility potion, Yang Bo carefully passed through the group of monsters. The invisibility potion greatly reduces the impact of existence on the perception of monsters, but it's not disappearance in the sense of the rules. If it weren't for Wang Kai attracting the firepower, Yang Bo would definitely have been discovered, of course. The higher Yang Bo's health, that is, the stronger his strength, the smaller the chance that some low-level monsters would discover him. Arriving at this place, which was like a Syrian battlefield, Yang Bo was pleasantly surprised to find that there were not only endurance pouches and nether stars, but even a golden legendary loot pouch had dropped. Legendary pouch is the withers drop rate this high. Yang Bo jumped into one deep pit after another, picking up all the dropped items, and without caring about the surrounding situation, he opened his backpack in the pit and checked the dropped items. 9 nether stars and some ultimate essence, as well as an endurance pouch and a legendary loot pouch. Yang Bo didn't care about the other garbage. I don't know what's inside this legendary pouch. Open it first. Yang Bo held the pouch in his hand, and with a thought the legendary loot pouch was opened. Dragon egg times 1, bedrock times 1. There were only these 2 things inside, but they almost made Yang Bo's eyes pop out. Holy crap, is this what legendary is? Is bedrock something that can be obtained by opening pouches? Well, because of the bedrock, Yang Bo directly threw the currently useless dragon egg to the back of his mind. Bedrock is a type of block in the original Minecraft that usually cannot be destroyed or mined in survival mode and adventure mode. It is the material that constructs the impassable stratum. The hardness of bedrock is very interesting. Other blocks are 1 or 2 or 10, while its hardness is -1. Conventional destruction methods can only continuously increase this negative number. So it is both the hardest and the softest block this time. I finally don't have to worry about the blocks being broken when I smash monsters with them, as long as the strength is sufficient. Even level 7 monsters are nothing more than small fries in front of bedrock. Yang Bo put the bedrock in the most convenient position, ready to use it to block attacks at any time. The only thing to be careful about is not to put it on the ground, or else he won't have the ability to dig it up. With a nervous mood, he took the endurance pouch out of his backpack this time. The endurance pouch didn't play him. It actually opened the mods in one go. Epic Siege Farmer's Delight Mystical Agriculture Expansion. I haven't even seen a single zombie in such a long time. The Epic Siege mod you gave me is useless. Epic Siege is a beginner-friendly mod that allows players to quickly adapt to the cheerful rhythm of Minecraft. It can give the original monsters some intelligence, making them more adorable. Even neutral creatures like cow, sheep, chickens, and pigs will interact with players. This mod can be said to be a rare and excellent mod in Minecraft. Yang Bo curled his lips and stopped paying attention to the mod, instead focusing on the nether star in his backpack. The numbers are off. How is one missing? Could it be that a wither died somewhere else? Yang Bo looked around but couldn't find the location of the last nether star. So he simply stopped looking anyway. With the mystical agriculture expansion, he would never have to worry about not having enough nether stars. The mystical agriculture expansion doesn't have many things. The most important are ultimate essence and nether star essence. He glanced at Wang Kai, who was still slaughtering in the monster Chinese letter, and placed the workbench in his hand on the ground. Looks like Wang Kai can hold on for a while. I'll make some ultimate equipment first. He took off the blue superior essence armor set he was wearing, and then took out the replacement core that he had prepared in advance to remove the superior essence armor core from the equipment. After he spent 4 nether stars to upgrade the superior essence armor core to the ultimate essence armor core, he belatedly slapped his palm. Crap. I forgot that planting nether stars also requires a nether star block. That means I have to kill some more withers. Yang Bo looked at the 5 nether stars left in his backpack, and for the time being could only go all the way to the end. He couldn't wait to put on the bright red ultimate essence armor set. The equipment gave him a full sense of security. Make an ultimate essence axe too. As for why not make a sword, it's because its raw damage is only 21 points, while the axe is 24 points. Swinging the freshly made ultimate essence axe a couple of times, Yang Bo revealed a satisfied smile. His strength had been enhanced again. Seeing that Wang Kai's health had already dropped by 2/3, Yang Bo gripped the axe and blew a whistle instantly. Wang Kai's figure disappeared from the monster crowd, teleported to his side by an invisible force. Good job. They're too dishonorable. They ganged up on me as soon as they came up. Wang Kai complained while obediently squatting on the ground. Instantly green particles appeared on its body. Rapid healing increases the chance of your dog self-healing while active. Reaching level 5 will increase its recovery speed by 50% when sitting down. This is also why Wang Kai was able to hold on for so long in the monster siege. Now Wang Kai can be said to be able to fight and can't run. And it's not in vain that Yang Bo spent a lot of materials to raise its level. Yang Bo reached out and patted Wang Kai, smiling and saying, "All right, you rest for a while. Watch me show off after speaking." He flew up in Wang Kai's incredible expression. Ultimate Essence Armor set attribute, Flight. The flying speed is about the same as Yang Bo's running. But this is flying. Yang Bo felt the cold wind whistling past him, and only felt extremely excited in his heart at this moment. He even felt that the monsters rushing over became kind and gentle. This feeling is so good, much better than riding an airship. Adjusting his direction to avoid the flying ice cones, Yang Bo crashed into the monster crowd. The sharpness of the Ultimate Essence Axe was completely beyond what this group of level 4 or 5 monsters could withstand. The scene gradually became bloody and brutal. Wang Kai stared blankly at Yang Bo, unable to believe what he was seeing. Boss can actually fly. The inflated psychology after the initial evolution was immediately suppressed in the bud. What in the beginning Jevrion was a noob? How did you secretly take extra lessons? Yang Bo's killing speed was very fast, but there were a lot of monsters and they were very stubborn, not running away at all. It took several hours to completely solve these monsters. Yang Bo finally stood in a pile of broken ice crystals. After looking around and seeing that there were no more standing figures, he put the axe back into his backpack. Phew, fortunately. I have a digitized body, otherwise I would have been exhausted even if these many monsters stood still and let me chop them. It was also thanks to the recovered Wang Kai joining the battlefield. Except for some wolf corpses that were too broken. All the other wolf corpses were collected by Yang Bo into his backpack. Even Soth's surroundings were soaked in blood. And there were patches of asterisk ice sand everywhere. It's getting dark. Wang Kai, go find Jerry and the others. Let's find a place to rest first, okay, as a country dog. Wang Kai INSTANTLY Chinese letter ED out. Finding people is its specialty. Taking this opportunity, Yang Bo kept collecting the energy stones on the ground and observing the surroundings. Preparing to find a place to rest, soon Wang Kai ran back, followed by the small airship controlled by Jerry. "Boss, I'm here," Jerry jumped out of the cabin, sinking a large section into the snow, and stretched out his claws to hand the bag in his hand to Yang Bo. "Boss, the area over there has been cleaned up. These are the energy stones that were dug out." Yang Bo took it smoothly and threw it into his backpack, pointing to the office building on the side and saying, "Let's go to the rooftop over there to rest." The rat, dog, and chicken had no objections and nodded. Jerry returned to the cabin and controlled the airship to slowly rise. Yang Bo looked at Wang Kai, who was about to run into the building, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He reached out and grabbed it, saying no need to be so troublesome. Following Yang Bo, he lifted Wang Kai up. His body quickly flew to the rooftop of the office building. "Wang Kai is okay, you can all fly, right? If you push me, I'll fly too," landing on the rooftop. Yang Bo's expression became a little solemn. More than a dozen mutated individuals stood lifelike on the rooftop. They were wrapped in blocks of solid ice, maintaining their struggling appearance even before death. "Looks like it's the work of those ice crystal creatures." Yang Bo took out his axe and knocked it on the solid ice. Instantly, those ice sculptures shattered directly, and even the bodies of the mutated individuals inside shattered along with the ice. For some reason, a sentence suddenly popped into his mind. "I bloom in the midst of slaughter like a flower in the dawn." The red flesh and blood and the shattered ice, set off by the darkness, were like strange flowers. Yang Bo bent down to check the minced meat, then shook his head and muttered to himself, "The energy stones are gone." What? It seems that this group of ice crystal creatures has the ability to absorb energy stones through ice. What a good ability. The next day, early morning, I picked up the nether star that had fallen on another street and some other loot. I thought it had been refreshed. If I couldn't fly, it would have been hard to find. I threw both nether stars into my backpack and walked out of the crater blasted by the wither. Yang Bo looked into the distance at the place that was still releasing cold air. Unlike the city, there was no rift here but a sinkhole. The original buildings had all been swallowed by this circular sinkhole. What world does this sinkhole lead to? Or is it a different layer of the abyss? According to Yang Bo's understanding of the abyss is the kind of existence that has countless layers. And each layer of the world has various connections. And the world where the Earth is located will eventually be swallowed by the abyss and become a new level if there are no accidents. Around the sinkhole, many monsters were blown out of it by the rising cold wind. Looking at the fangs and claws of those ice wolves, they didn't seem to be willing. "Wang Kai, wait for me here, I'll go and see what's going on." "Understood, boss." Watching Yang Bo's figure fly up, Wang Kai felt that he was envious to the point of plasmolysis. He originally thought that being able to speak was already a very good ability. It never thought that it could fly without wings. It jumped twice in place, imagining the scene of itself flying up at this time. Furry balls jumped out from all corner sand when they saw it. They all quickened their pace and rushed up. Wang Kai didn't kill Sim after all. Yang Bo hadn't killed this group of furry balls before, and he didn't know if these monsters had other uses for Yang Bo. He simply stood there and ignored these things. If he really wanted to kill them, he only needed to use wind blades to protect himself. This group of level 1 or 2 furry balls could all be made into fur coats. Soon Wang Kai was surrounded by furry balls. It's quite cool on the other side. Yang Bo quickly flew near the sinkhole, and some birds flying in the air surrounded him. Isn't this a friggin' Articuno? Articuno is a legendary bird Pokemon that controls ice, because it can cool the air by flapping its wings. It is said that it snows wherever Articuno flies. The bird creatures in front of him, except for looking more realistic, have a cyan blue color scheme that is very similar to Articuno. And each one has a particle effect all over its body, just like a shiny Pokemon. However, Yang Bo thought that this thing should not be as strong as Articuno, one of the 3 legendary birds otherwise. With these hundreds of Articuno on the scene, he would only be able to turn around and run for his life. Tilde after Yang Bo heard the cries of this group of Articuno. Several black lines appeared on his forehead. It really ruins this handsome appearance. It sounds like a duck suddenly. Yang Bo only felt hundreds of mental powers drill into his body. And then there was no thens. These guys didn't find his mental power. Turned around and ran away, Yang Bo. What's with this feeling of being suddenly violated? You want to leave after offending your daddy. He sped up and rushed towards the nearest Articuno, reaching out and grabbing it the moment he touched it. A layer of floating ice began to spread towards his arm. However, this bird's ice ability is obviously not as good as its mental ability. Yang Bo just shook it hard, and the ice layer disintegrated and fell off. He held the axe in his other hand against its neck and said, "Mental type, don't pretend. I know you understand, tell me where you came from. Monsters that have lost their minds will not have mental types. If there are any mental type monsters, don't hesitate to give them their favorite big smack in the face." The ice wolves and ice crystal creatures before looked quite normal. But in fact, they didn't mean to escape at all after being slaughtered like yesterday. And this group of birds began to retreat the moment they couldn't find Yang Bo's mental power. "Don't kill me." The Articuno that was caught in Yang Bo's hand stopped struggling after hearing his words. And then a soft voice sounded in his mind, "Pa." Yang Bo put away the axe and slapped it, "Pretend. Mental power communication doesn't have a chick voice." He had specifically asked Little Chick about this matter. Under normal circumstances, mental power communication does not have the concept of sound. Yang Bo didn't know if it was intentional or accidental. In his opinion, it was intentional. "Where did you come from?" the Articuno, who was almost knocked unconscious by the slap, almost cried aggrievedly, "I came from the abyss. We thought you were a mutated monster from this world." Yang Bo expressed understanding mentally. Then he took out the leash and put it on this Articuno. "Abyss, does the abyss have many different worlds?" That's right, in confirming his inner guess. This strange Articuno was useless to him. Looking up and down at this Articuno, which was about the size of an ordinary dog, Yang Bo licked his lips subconsciously, "Don't eat me." The Articuno began to struggle again. Yang Bo pinched the other's neck and exerted a little force. The struggle stopped abruptly. "Can you sense my inner thoughts?" Yang Bo was a little curious about this. Little Chick didn't have this ability. The Articuno, who was almost strangled to death, came back to his senses and quickly said, "Your malicious thoughts are overflowing from your body." "TCH, what do you mean overflowing? Can you speak properly?" "And I was just thinking about whether this ice-type creature can be stewed in a pressure cooker. How can it be considered malicious?" Mental power communication has this advantage. Even if the other party doesn't understand the meaning of a pressure cooker, they can understand the overall meaning of what Yang Bo said. This is not considered malicious. "Is there any way to stop the cooling?" The Articuno shook his head and said, "Stop the cooling. Why? Don't you think the temperature of this world is too high?" "Don't think so." Yang Bo curled his lips and looked at the Articuno, who had been hovering around and unwilling to leave, because their companions had been captured. The idea of catching a few more back rose in his mind. "If you want to stop the cooling, unless you kill all the frost-feeding beasts, or drive them back to the abyss world, and then close the rift leading to the abyss. This is the only way to stop the temperature of this world from dropping." Frost-feeding beasts should be referring to the furry ball monster. This terrible name is not as good as furry ball monster. How can this rift be closed? It's very simple. You only need to strengthen the spatial barrier of this world, and the world will autonomously close the abyss rift. Yang Bo, he felt like he had been played twice by a bird. If he had this kind of strength, would he still need to ask this damn bird? Looking down at the circular sinkhole below, a bold and crazy idea popped into Yang Bo's mind. Since it can't be closed, then let's block it.